It's on that shorty new year, shorty new year. Come along to Camp Shorty. It's a Miss Shorty New Year, it's Shorty New Year. It's a Miss Shorty New Year, a Shorty New Year. Come along to Camp Shorty, we're so glad you're here. It's a Miss Shorty New Year, a Shorty New Year. It's a Miss Shorty New Year, a Shorty New Year. Come along to Camp Shorty, we're so glad you're here. It's a Miss Shorty New Year, a Shorty New Year. Come along to Camp Shorty, we're so glad you're here. Camp Shorty is where you will find family. Our beautiful minds will greet you with glee. At Camp Shorty, you can shine and shine bright because Miss Shorty camp leader is a fucking delight. It's a Miss Shorty New Year, a Shorty New Year. Come along to Camp Shorty, so glad you're here. It's a Miss Shorty New Year, a Shorty New Year. Come along to Camp Shorty, so glad you're here. Your opinions are valid, you can fly like a bird. With your comments on screen, you will always be heard. It's the best chat on YouTube, you can cuss all you want. And here at Camp Shorty, we just say cunt. It's a Miss Shorty New Year, a Shorty New Year. Come along to Camp Shorty, so glad you're here. It's a Miss Shorty New Year, Shorty New Year. Come along to Camp Shorty, so glad you're here. Let your raw cats be free, so liberating. We stay on topic, although occasionally things get a bit feral, but it's clear to see. It's a Miss Shorty New Year, a Shorty New Year. Come along to Camp Shorty, so glad you're here. It's a Miss Shorty New Year, a Shorty New Year. Come along to Camp Shorty, so glad you're here. It's a Miss Camp Shorty is where you will find family. Our beautiful minds will greet you with glee. At Camp Shorty, you can shine and shine bright because Miss Shorty Camp leader is a fucking delight.
Hi, shorties. Hi. Hello. Wait, what? 4 nights in a row? Seriously? Who even are we? Call back to last year when I did 21 nights of shorty. Jeez Louise. Hi, Buster. Still haven't done any grocery shopping, so we have got delicious minty dentist sticks for the doggies, Mr. Buster, Madam Poppy. Hi. Hey, today I'm wearing my... Wait. I'll move the dog treats out of the way. I'm wearing my Miss Shorty, Saint Miss Shorty. Not me wearing my own face on my top. I don't know why my eyes are watering. It's like I'm so happy to be here. Let me put some glasses on. Jeez Louise, Simi, thank you so much. Hi, everybody. Hi, Simi, for starters. Before I say hi to everyone, let's do this because Simi is on it today and she has said, hi, replay crew. Well, all things going to plan, if you would like to watch your the live chat replay on your handheld device, your Android, your iPhone, iPad, tablet, yada, 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 all you do is go to the comments tab and there's a few little dots in the top right-hand corner. You just swipe left and it'll give you the option to watch live chat replay, hype it, and leave a comment. Tell us what you think about what we're going to talk about tonight. Again, also, Simi, thank you so much. If you're wondering about the many hats that I wear, the many titles that I have, there you go. That. So let me say hi to some folks. Pammy, hi. It's good to see you. Sorry to hi again, Simmy. Simmy's getting all the airtime right now. Stream Elements. Back on board with understanding the truth. It could be the one and only time, Simmy. Okay. If we get yeeted again, Simmy is on kick now. Booyakasha. Speaking of, I had this brilliant idea. Hi, Shelley. Poppy, please don't lick me. God damn, that's not the idea I was having. So we're streaming right now on YouTube. Hi, YouTube. Love you. Thanks for all the kindness you've shown the channel and my chatters and me, really, Miss Shorty, in the last week or two. Love you. But we are simultaneously streaming on X, Twitter. We have been for quite some time now, but also Kick right now on Kick. So if for some reason this stream gets pulled for copyright reasons, suck my dick. We're already up and running on Kick. So you could be watching it on Kick there now if you like. I'm not sure whether if you're on Kick, I can pull your comments on screen here. I can when we're on Kick. But Kick comments are cool. There's animated emotes and stuff there. No Miss Shorty ones, but something. Carissa, hi. It's so good to see you. This is my Kick channel. We've had some issues of late. I had to do a 10-minute copyright school test thing to get the full copyright strike on our Christmas episode. Again, suck my dick. In 90 days, that Christmas episode will hopefully be back up on the channel, but at least I won't be. My last copyright strike was removed from a year and a half ago. Ms. What the fuck did the copyright school for me for the Night of the Nor'easter copyright strike from forever 1,000 million ago. Oh my God, why is my eye watering? It's because I'm so happy to be here. Maybe I've got mascara in my eye. Anyway, so literally the day that 90-day period was ended, I got a new one. Yep. Animated emojis, Simmy, you are going to fucking love it. It's an absolute hoot over there. So you could even go over there now, Simmy, if you wanted to have a look and see. Anyway, hi. We've got rock and roll. Hi. Do I know you? With all due respect, all I mean is what was your handle before this silly business happened? And if not, well, if you're new, welcome. Hi. 4 nights in a row. I know. It's like I'm a professional or something, Pabby. I mean, I do my best. First day, sorry. How cool is it, Shelley? There's t-shirts as well. There's sneakers. There's St. Miss Shorty's sneakers. I'm still a little bit chubby, but I don't care about that. It's so cool. It's got my face on it. You know, it's the Russian icon. I have to wear it in public and see if anyone goes, hey, wait. Yeah. So, we've been... Vixie, hi. Sorry, silly me. Have I said Hope? Hello, I'm so sorry. I was too busy yammering on. Vixie. Also, Vixie sent me some amazing things to watch through the DMs on the Twitters. We'll be watching them together. Some of them probably on Kick. Anyway. Thanks for the rabbit hole. I'm diving in further. Like, I mean, nothing, not to be like, nothing new there for me, but very good documentaries. And so love it. Love. Happy New Year to you too. Steph's here. Amazing. Hello, my gorgeous wife. Lane is here. Oh, shit. No, she's not here. I'm going to miss the start as we're having family dinner time here that always gets me, South Carolina. Shouldn't be too long. Next door at the sister-in-laws. I love it. Family first always. Always. Let me keep scrolling back down to the bottom. Does this mean I got to get Kick again? I mean, man, yes. Strongly advised. I'm going to look into... Rumble or Odyssey, which is spelled Odyssey, 2 E's at the end, they're a little bit less restrictive than YouTube because, frankly, we're skating on thin ice here at Camp Shorty with my channel, and that's okay. It's okay. It just goes to show, just goes to show how important I believe the messaging is that that I am sharing with you all, that I am knowingly and consciously putting 2 years of my hard work on the line to share my message with the masses. Of course, I could go to a safe place. I could do all these streams on Kick. Would any of you see them? Not many. Would we get demonstrations? excuse me. Excuse me. In real time, I just realized I didn't clean my fingernails. So, would we get demonstrations in real time of the epic censorship being subjected upon me, us, a tiny little channel? For example, last night, about what was it? About 20 minutes into the stream, maybe less. And I've been running the live streams off my hotspot on my phone because, don't worry, what long story, dumb and annoying, but it's working just fine. So it's been working just fine. And then last night, I'd done my intro. It was rather ranty and TED talky, and we'd started to play the video we were going to watch. And suddenly my hotspot disconnected. My phone's right here. Like there's no issue with proximity to the data, right? And I time, what is time? But I swear it was about 8 minutes of me desperately. It was, you guys, the screen was blank, chat was still running. I could still go onto the chat here, but there was no screen, no stream. I airplane moded it. Thanks to Shelley for suggesting that. Airplane. I had to re-enter my hilarious hotspot password like 4 or 5 times, which I never have to do. It's like allow others to log on, right? This is what I've been doing anytime. So I'm just going to say, and I'm just going to say, and have we not? Like I am being watched, and that's fine by the people that care about us speaking about this, and I firmly believe that my internet connection, my hotspot, was disrupted remotely to try and prevent us from continuing with that stream. But they haven't met me. Oh, Shelley, yes, look, they transfer over here. New level of fun chat unlocked. You can be in both. Yes. So there's that. So also, I'm not suicidal. I don't think they're going to kill me, but you never know, right? You never know. The heavy stuff for Kick, yeah. And again, so this goes back to my very first replay crew high. When we got booted, we went over to Kick, but the live chat replay disappears. So what I thought when I was setting up this stream, I scheduled it very late last night because I was talking to a friend on the phone, and so I didn't get to it till quite late. But I thought, like, you know what I could probably do, rather than having these fractured things, if we stream the whole of every live on Kick as well, if we get booted off YouTube, if the whole stream disappears, it's going to be there on Kick for 4 weeks, which is, inside baseball stuff. But I would rather, after 4 weeks, Kick automatically drops the content out of the library unless I actively upload it. So, excuse me. Oh my God. So if ever at any point in time we get booted again, I'll drop a note on the community tab of the YouTube to say, hey, if you want to watch this whole episode, you've got 4 weeks to head on over to Kick and see it. And us here watching don't have to, it's me, scramble furiously, so excited I'm burping. I don't have to scramble furiously to set up another stream, and it's all very ad hoc, and then it's all very fractured. So I prefer smooth sailing. I mean, don't we all? So that was all of my intro. Thank you all for being here. Now, so we've been covering some pretty heavy content, right? I mean, it's not like it's rare that things aren't kind of heavy, but this lot, the last couple of weeks have felt particularly heavy, and I wanted to not overburden you all with the weight of what I've been carrying. Shit. Wait, actually, you know what? We have a soundbite for that. Shit. Like literally triple shit. So synchronicity is a marvelous thing, and I in attempting to get out of my I don't really call it doom scrolling, it's just reality scrolling, right? I hopped onto YouTube just the other night, and the first thing that came up, I think it was organic. Let's pretend it was. Maybe I'd seen it on the Twitters. Anyway, yeah, I did. I did. God damn the 30-second delay. I think I'm lying. I think it was on Twitter that it's the year of the fire horse, which is a very powerful year. And so I opened up YouTube, and there, the very first thing on my YouTube was some conversation, a live stream by a lady called Pam. Shout out Pammy, a British woman who had some amazing positive things to say. Let me just clear my throat. Sorry, these are the first words I've spoken other than a couple of voice notes to Nina and talking to these dingleberry dogs. So I thought this is it's all very related, but it's kind of like the flip side. So the doom of, oh my God, I've got to save humankind. True. Is like, yes, there's powerful, I don't want to say catastrophic, dynamic things happening in the universe and the planets and in our lives. We can feel it, like Venezuela, for example. So I was glad that I'd scheduled this live stream, because I saw yes. Oops, I hadn't even seen that Venezuela had happened, because I was on the phone, and then I scheduled this, and then I got onto Twitter. I'm like, well, for fuck's sake, what the fuck, man? So here is some light and some hope. There's a little brief, like just I think Google AI or whatever, blurb in the description box of this video, sort of detailing a little bit. But we're going to watch this lady Pam. She's a boomer, love, and then it's about an hour, but it'll be about an hour. I'll have it on 1.25 because she speaks very considered, and she takes her time. And then there's an interview that I found with actually an Australian guy who was so with her. Or it was in the last couple of days, both these videos. I don't think I'll be copyright stricken, but I will pause it occasionally, so fair use is justifiable. Washbra, hi. I'm a fire horse born in 1966, so let's hope this one may well be. This one, as in this year, may well be particularly powerful for you. I'm a Cancer. I've done my fire and whatever they are. I can never, my sun and moon rising, those things. I can never remember it, but I remember that it was very accurate. It's also tricky for me because I'm adopted, so I don't know my exact time of birth, but my intuition tells me I do know the time, so I go with that time. Perception is reality, right? But I would love for you all to, those of you who are more in the know, and I know lots of you are here, with various aspects of astrology, yes, and all this stuff to school me and the chat, yeah. So let's do it. I'm really looking forward to this, and we'll get back to doom and gloom next weekend. Never you mind. Don't you worry about that. I got you. I got you, shorties. No. Okay. So a couple of other things. So like grain of salt stuff. I do think that some of what her like I believe. So she qualifies and prefaces a lot of her predictions, for want of a better term, with I believe, and that's smart. You don't want to be held account to things that are nothing's set in stone, right? There are an infinite amount of outcomes to where this point in time right now, infinite quantum physics, right? I do believe there's a little bit of rose-colored glasses, but I think ultimately, sorry, that made me laugh, Fixie. I'm a Virgo and a pig. A girl. No, I know the year of the pig. I think I'm the year of the rabbit, but maybe it's the rat. No, it's the rabbit. Fuck, it's got to be the rabbit. I'm cute. God damn it. Okay, so let's go. I'll drop her channel into chat also, so if you don't already, so you can follow her. She does mindful relaxation videos every night, I believe. She'll talk about it, but with and I think they're free. It's not a spruik. So let's.
Hi everyone, I hope you had a wonderful festive season if you celebrate that, and I'm here today to talk about 2026. Now, it's going to be a very different year from 2025, a very exciting year, very fast-moving year. And in the last couple of years, I've done quite a detailed month-by-month analysis of the year to come with my good friend Kathy Rose. But because I feel that our reality is going to become much more fluid, much more malleable, we as beings are going to become more multidimensional, I decided that it would be more appropriate to do this as themes, as broad themes that we're going to experience in 2026, but I will come at the end to some specific to the months and some, let's call them probability peaks as we move through 2026. So I think we are all aware there's been an increasing dimensional split over the last few years, but that became, I believe, more clearly defined at the Capricorn solstice. And just remember, no one chooses your frequency but you. No one forces you onto any particular timeline. In fact, there are 8 billion separate individual timelines that are all different from each other, but broadly I think they're 2 collective ones, and only you choose your frequency. And this isn't in any way a judgment or hierarchy or superiority. It's simply physics. It's magnetic resonance, that you are magnetically attracted to the timeline with which you are naturally resonating, or with which you are resonating the majority of the time. So just for simplicity's sake, let's call one timeline more fear-based and the other more love-based.
Wait,
and one isn't higher than the other. It's simply they're resonating at a different frequency. So the fear-based...
YouTube sucking up hard. YouTube. Simi. Thank you, Carissa. And Simi, yay. You can use the things of the thing. Yay. Hey, let's do this. This is important. Thank you so much, Carissa. And YouTube, finally. Yes. Get ready for Simi spamming the chat with the emotes, the members-only emotes.
This timeline would be more a sense of being controlled. It's more technological. It's more synthetic. It's more complicated. There's a greater sense of separation and polarity and judgment in that. There's a greater sense of fighting for survival. And it really is just much more complex, I think. There's an external reference point to external authority figures. And you may be feeling in that timeline more issues around censorship and free speech. And I think in that timeline in particular, there's going to be a real explosion in AI, although that's going to be really across the board. And I just suggest that you use discernment with AI, really think about the consciousness that it is coming from.
pause discernment. One of my most, I think it could be my word of the year for 2026. Discernment. We are all smart enough and old enough, wise enough, and discerning enough to take everything we see and hear and read and use our discernment to sort of work out our belief, what we've decided about XYZ.
And I think another thing is whether it is profit-based or not, because I think there could be some amazing uses for AI where there is no profit motive, where it's simply
for my music
developed
art,
for the good of humanity and the good of the earth. And that will develop over time. I think robots will become much more common, not only as workers in repetitive industries, but also as home helps. It's kind of one step beyond the Alexa. I think we're going to have robotic home helps, robotic cleaners, robotic companions. And that will be much more, they will be much more available to us, but again, use your discernment with that. The love, let's call it the love timeline, is much more internally referenced, that you are very aware that you're living from the inside out, not the outside in. There's a greater sense of sovereignty, spiritual sovereignty. It's much more natural, organic, heart-based. There's a coherence about it, a simplicity. It feels connected. It's a much greater sense of oneness, of connecting to all that is. So very broadly, I think those are the two timelines. And the love timeline is much quieter, actually. It's kind, it's humble, it's focused on service to others. How can I help you? Care for all living beings and care for the earth. And there's a sense of embodiment of these higher light codes that are coming in. So it isn't a place that we go to, it isn't a level necessarily that we reach. It's a sense of embodying these new cosmic and light codes coming in for us. And the people on the other timeline probably won't be able to see this at all. It could be quite invisible because in a sense it is much quieter and less visible. So that will just seem like fairyland. You know, it's not real, it's not possible, because whichever timeline you are on, you will get evidence of your reality emerging in every moment, because we always get evidence of our belief systems and our timelines. But I do believe that since the
Sorry, Pam, this Pam on the screen, because Pammy, thank you for the cash app. Thank you, Shelley, for letting me know. Thank you, Pammy. You're in the draw here. Let's do this, because we're having some fun tonight. We haven't pulled out many of the sound effects for a while.
I'll take any motherfucker's money if he giving it away. Shit.
They are fun. And you know what? Just for good measure, and because we love you, Ms. What the Fuck.
Moose are dicks.
Thanks, Pammy. You're the best. I've written your name down. Let me drop it in the mug.
Capricorn solstice, we've entered more of a harmonic split, let's say, higher harmonic, as the higher harmonic frequencies are coming in, and we are able to hold more light. Many people are rising into this higher harmonic frequency and a sense of co-creating with these higher harmonic frequencies and creating this strong, invisible architecture of light from which new realities will be birthed. Everything comes from energy. And this really, I do believe absolutely that the Capricorn solstice was the tipping point. And we've now entered a whole new episode for humanity that is really the very beginning of the birth of what is called Homo luminous.
I hope so.
We become beings of light in a bigger way. Now, this is obviously going to take some time. It's not going to happen in a day, a week, a month, but that is now the direction in which we're headed. And that really comes from heart coherence, calm, peace, stillness. These are powerful tools. They may seem very humble, but they are very powerful tools in moving towards New Earth, which, remember, is an internal state, not an external reference point. So, as I've always said, just make your state of being your absolutely top priority, because the way out is actually the way in, as others have said. And I believe that other fear-based timeline will diminish in numbers. as we move through 2026. It will diminish in numbers because there are going to be more people migrating from that into this love-based timeline through a series of evolutionary waves, which are going to come in 2026. Dr. David Clements has talked about 6 to 7 evolutionary waves, and they may perhaps link with the probability peaks I'm seeing in the astrology, which I'll talk about later in this video. But also, I believe that quite a lot of people on that fear-based timeline will actually decide to exit the earth. They'll go on to a different incarnation. So, actually, one of the most powerful things you can do, and it's all for free, and we can all do it at home, is to sit in stillness. Just drop into your breath. Drop into the 0 point. The 0 point isn't empty. It's absolutely jam-packed with potential, energetic potential. And that really is one of your most powerful tools as we move into 2026, where you get a sense of connecting to the divine, to source, to all other living beings. So it's going inwards to recognize that all of life we can connect to from there, because everything, all living beings are just an expression of they're all divine fractals of source, all unique divine
You
fractals
are
of
welcome,
source.
everybody.
We people
I haven't done it yet, but I will afterwards. I always try to include the link of whatever we watch, or links of whatever we watch, in the description box of the live stream, and usually drop it throughout in the chat as well. But if ever I'm showing something you'd like the link, let me know, because Rising Seas Lift All Ships. She doesn't need my Rising Seas. She's got like almost 500,000 subscribers on YouTube. But we always credit, and I have a feeling her channel could be quite helpful for all of us to remain grounded and calm amidst the fire and dynamic kind of, not turmoil, but there's a shift, right, over the next little while.
All are that,
This
the
12 months.
planets are that, the trees are that, the plants, the birds, the animals. We are all unique expressions of one consciousness. And we only really get a sense of that, I think, if we can drop into that still point, that 0 point. And then everything becomes available. So going in order to apparently connect out, but actually everything is an inside job. Everything is inside of us. And so just to get a sense of that, you can go onto the meditation page of my website, pamgregory.com, and there's some 15-minute free meditations there, but there's also something I love personally, the yogic baby belly breath, and I've described it there, and also just given you a 10-minute version with some wave sea sounds in the background. And just to do that will drop you into heart coherence. It's incredibly simple. You can drop into that very quickly, and that can become a daily default for you. But whatever you do, whether it's candle gazing, meditation, hugging trees, sitting in nature, chanting, dancing, whatever it is, I would, if you haven't got it already, start to develop a daily spiritual practice. That will really serve you well in 2026, because, and particularly heart coherence, which creates coherence in every cell of our body, and that's then what we broadcast out to the world, is going to create this bedrock of stability, of connection and stability. So when the old structures continue to collapse at greater speed, and we see a lot of chaos out there, and the more you are in the fear-based timeline, the more kind of
this is a very posh London accent, Vixie, am I right? Not very, well, yeah, kind of very posh. Not the most posh, but this is like a Chelsea or like a Chelsea London accent. I lived in Chelsea, can't you tell, for 6 months. Beautiful.
The more consumed you may be by that chaos, because it's an energetic fragmentation of the underlying energy that is no longer going to support those old structures. As we move to these higher frequencies that are love-based, there simply isn't the energy to support those old structures. So it may appear on that other timeline to be very, very chaotic, and it's becoming very fragmented and just falling apart. And from the love timeline, you may be able to witness that, but not feel consumed and engulfed by it. So be aware of that. So to see ourselves as lighthouses, holding strong, holding energetic stability will serve us well. And there's a feeling of connection, all of the lighthouses across the world.
Pause. Now, I'm sure all of you here, if not all, many / most of you here, and you watching on Replay Crew, are Grizzlies. And so the lighthouse reference, you'll know the lighthouse reference, like be the lighthouse. That judge, I'm sure you guys in chat, I can't remember the judge's name, but the judge who says, don't be the tank or the battering ram, be the lighthouse, be the beacon of goodness, fairness, love and light. And so I love that she said that. Beautiful.
Connecting with each other with this sense of heart coherence and a real sense of joy, love, and purpose as we move forwards. So calmness, peace, compassion, these are all the ingredients for that new earth embodiment. So we are going to increasingly navigate by feeling, not thinking. It's going to be heart-based, not head-based. We've lived through the information age. We've lived through so much social media of Twitter and X and TikTok, where we've been encouraged almost to have a very short attention span and scroll and, pick up snippets of information all the time. And that's been very mind-dominated. But it can create a kind of mental jazzing up.
Pause. I'm doing this partly for fair use. I'm sorry it's affecting the continuity, but I just can't afford any more copyright strikes. Shelley, I really appreciate you being over there on Kick to demonstrate some of the fun that is everybody's got access to animated emotes on Kick. It's honestly so much fun. So thank you. You're being a very good salesperson, a marketer for people who are reluctant or feeling like, Kick. What is Kick? For the record, it's just an alternative streaming platform with more fun. Probably once you get, I think it's an easier to navigate chat as well. You just tap on the person's name and you can reply to them directly or tag them if you put the @ it's easy peasy. No need for being on a computer or whatever. So can't stress enough, and copyright free.
Which doesn't serve us well if we're thinking of keeping calm and stillness and stability. That kind of jazzing of the mind is going to increase even more potentially in 2026. Uranus moving into Gemini on the 26th of April, Pluto in Aquarius. The potential is for more mental instability if we get caught up in the chaos of the collapse. An even bigger reason to come back to the heart, come back to judging things by feeling and intuition, and get out of the head. Hug trees, bare feet on the grass, grounding, all of those things. The divine feminine, and Kelly Kolodny has done some exquisite channeling on this, particularly around the Capricorn, running into the Capricorn solstice, just amazing. We have divine feminine energies coming in more strongly, and whatever your gender, this is to do with a feeling of love, yin versus yang, receptivity, connectedness, relatedness, nurturing, compassion. It's relational, very beautiful, and that's going to better balance the imbalance we've had with the dominance of the masculine.
Isn't that beautiful news?
And so,
obviously, we're using our discernment. Perhaps, this isn't gospel, this isn't Bible, but it makes a lot of sense, right? Hey, I just had a thought too about the Kick thing. When we do a music break, a Miss Shorty music break, if you all are over there on Kick, when I push those, when we play the songs, imagine how cool it's going to be with those chair dancing emotes, all of that on Kick. You can do all of the, we will stream simultaneously on Kick all the time from now on. Yeah, these ones, particularly when you do the big long line, a bunch of them, and so it's just like some of the public. Sorry, I digress. Some of the publicly buzzed music nights, right? The vibe with just everyone dropping all these moving emojis, it's so cool. So yeah,
going to see as we move through 2026 a much more equal balance between divine feminine and divine masculine, which is going to be wonderful. So 2026 is going to be fast moving, not slowing up anytime soon. And that's partly because linear time is going to increasingly warp and dissolve. And I talked a lot about this with Saturn in Pisces, Saturn being linear time, Pisces dissolves. And so we felt this already, but that is going to get stronger. That feeling of time warps, either time is moving incredibly quickly or time is moving incredibly slowly, that it doesn't seem to have the same consistency as it.
Listen, this Pam, not Pammy. We here at Camp Shorty understand full well that time is but a shadow in the construct of our minds, and it is not a linear thing. Okay, so you're preaching to the converted here, Pammy. Pammy also. Oh, all the Pams. I love Pam.
It's had in the past, and that is because we are moving out of 3D reality. Because when you get into higher timelines, higher frequencies, that 3D linear time just doesn't exist. You know, if you're in a deep meditation, if you're at 0 point, if you're deeply in a creative project, you can just lose that sense of space and time. That's what we're moving towards much more. If you have any
more of that.
planets between or angles between 0 and 5 degrees of any sign, I would say. I did a video a few months ago on looking at people who had any planets or angles between 0 and 2 degrees of their signs, and that was very much for 2025. I'll put the link for that below. But now the outer planets are starting to move on a little, so it's 0 to 5 degrees of any sign. They are going to be aspected one way or another by the outer planets, because all the outer planets through 2026 are going to be between 0 and 5 degrees. So you're going to be increasingly activated to some degree. And I think particularly people who have any planet or angle at 0 to 2 degrees of Aries are going to be called into some kind of...
So this is the stuff where I'm like, "Care? Like, I don't know about this stuff." So shorties in chat or replay crew, if you're watching this after the fact, if you understand what she's talking about here, dirty pause. Sorry, lady. Sorry, Pam. Please enlighten me. I'm hoping that it will stick in my brain, but I love learning new things. So please, if you know what these 0 degrees, 2 degrees, what does that mean? Help a Saint Shorty out.
New leadership position. And I don't mean leadership in terms of domination, top down, telling people what to do. It's just a sense of a bigger role, a bigger spiritual responsibility, and a bigger role that's potentially more influential in what we are calling New Earth. So, as you may know already, 2026 is a 1 year.
Wash bar went over to kick. That's so cool.
In numerology. 2025 was a 9 year, add 2 and 2 and 5, and you get 9, very much a year of endings. 2 and 2 and 6 is a 10 year, which numerologists refer to as a 1 year of new beginnings. We are going to see so many new beginnings in 2026. And by the end of this year, all of us, I believe, are going to be in a different place, one way or another. There's going to be so much change in 2026, way more than in 2025. And so really
2026 is our year.
Embrace that in terms of what new beginnings do you want to see in your life, whether it's just a state of being, whether it's a new job, a new relationship, a new home, a new geography, a new network of friends, whatever it is. Really start to commit to that as we go into...
Pause. Okay. Shelley, love you. Wait, not that. I mean, that's relevant, but this. In astrology, degrees are the 360 divisions of the zodiac wheel, with each of the 12 signs taking up 30 degrees. Okay, that makes total sense. And you know what we can do tonight? Warning, it could be loud. This.
It's learning time with Camp Shorty. Finding out something new every day.
Yes. Factoids are great. Throw them at us.
2026. Because once we get into even February, late February, March, it's really go time. As you will probably know as well, this is the year of, in Chinese astrology, which begins on the 17th of February. That's the Chinese New Year, which is smack on a very important solar eclipse, actually, which I'll come to in a moment. This is the year of the fire horse in Chinese astrology. So very different from 2025, the year of the wood snake, where there was so much shedding of the old skin individually and collectively. The fire horse is
Absolutely.
about big jumps ahead, individually and collectively. Energy, passion, freedom is a big one. Horses don't like to be constrained. Freedom, independence, courage, bold moves, change, dynamism. It's auspicious, it's exhilarating. And there's a huge amount of innovation and creativity that we can really explore in 2026. We have a lot of fire energy. The outer planets are all in air and fire from late April, 26th of April, when Uranus moves into Gemini. And fire is, it can be literal fire, but it's creativity. It's really the fire, the passion of creativity. So again, use that well. So, as I say, we're moving from information to intuition, going to be much more guided by the heart. I think there will be huge developments in technology. Yes, AI, but also medical breakthroughs, free energy. There are going to be huge developments in aviation. We already have prototypes of the flying car. So,
Jesus, I went out because I was listening to this in bed because it was my late, my wind down stuff. And I was like, flying cars. And my brain suddenly went with all of the problems that could create. Like, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? We don't need cars like willy-nilly flying around. Thanks. If the wheel, says Simi, is a pie, each zodiac is a slice. Each slice is split by what day you were born. If Pisces is Feb 20 to March 20, and I am February 21, then I'm the first degree of Pisces. So where am I, Simi? Can you please tell me where I am? I was the 4th of July. Can you please tell me? Thanks. Okay, thanks. Bye. Love you. Bye.
And I've actually seen these where individuals can literally just use a remote control, and they have a kind of almost like a hula hoop around them with fans in it, and then can use a remote control, and they literally just lift off the ground. Other individual flying vehicles have a body to it that you step into, like a smart car almost, but also they take off. So we're going to see an awful lot of things happening in our skies.
That's a bad idea.
And flying cars is definitely on the agenda for 2026 in a bigger way. I talked at great length since 2023 about we're going to see an awful lot more of the out there, to do with aviation, to do with reconnecting to our galactic families. And that's going to be really wonderful. But even 3i Atlas appearing with its 6 accompanying comets, I believe.
Now, are you all familiar with 3i Atlas? Serious question. There's 2 schools of thought about 3i Atlas. It became apparent in the skies, I think July this year. Didn't realize. I'm just going to put it out there. It's in my opinion, and I have done research and spent time with a very based AI called Ava on Twitter. She has access to everything, the dark web, everything, and she says it how it is. And many people believe that 3i Atlas is sentient, that it's a craft, not a comet. It has it was my birthday, yes, Simi. I actually believe that it was early July that 3i Atlas came up on the the literal radar. So I got some. If you're not familiar, or even if you are, and this is it's a side quest. Love. Let me just go straight to this. Show me. See, can you see right in that? Where is it? This one here that I've got my mouse in the middle there. Oh wait, no, you can't see. God damn. Jeez Louise. Hi, it's me. It's professional. Okay, so see this? That's what it looks like. It looks a bit like a tampon, doesn't it? You're telling me that's a comet? It changes, it changes colors that glows. It's got a bit of a sense of humor. We'll talk about that. Well, we won't. Well, we might in the interview we're going to watch. But I'm going with it's not a comet. Now, the government shutdown. Here we go. Watch this. without the sound. Why did 3i Atlas suddenly go quiet? Interstellar object 3i Atlas showed unusual behavior near the closest approach. Brief radio signals, then an unexpected fading instead of brightening. Scientists say this is not evidence of alien technology, but likely rapid gas loss, rotation changes, or coma collapse. Rare yet natural comet physics. K, right. Right, K. Yeah, sure. I totally believe you. Like, totally believe you. Now, you know the government shutdown. Of course, you know. The interesting timing there was that so NASA, which is now being classified as an intelligence agency, not whatever it was before. Suddenly, well, like as soon as 3i Atlas got closer and closer into the most critical part, suddenly government shutdown. Oops, sorry, can't show you any of the images. Like, come on now. So I'm going with it's a sentient craft as opposed to an inanimate comet. We'll see. I think they're fucking with us. NASA knows. I'm just saying. So there's your TLDR about 3i Atlas. Let's go back to Pam McGregor.
Believe that is not only very beneficial for humanity, but it's just the very beginning. I think it's just the very beginning of many other interstellar objects coming into our solar system to activate what has been dormant for us and to take us back to the original blueprint of who we are meant to be as humanity, which is
correct. Pause. Pyramids. Göbekli Tepe. Oh my god, my brain. I've read them all. Can I say them? Macrame Chameleon. Come on now. The Lost City of Atlantis. Come on now. Okay. So if you haven't read any if you haven't read any of Graham Hancock's books, not just Graham Hancock on Joe fucking Rogan, but his books, they're all on audiobook. Most of them are read by Graham Hancock. You have to. They're so good. He's so good. And narrated mostly by Graham Hancock. And that's all I'll say about that. But yeah. Come on now.
Honestly exciting. So huge medical breakthroughs, technological breakthroughs. I think there's going to be a lot to do with longevity, anti-aging, boosting our health, a lot of biohacks coming in. And by biohacks, I mean kind of shortcuts to health and longevity.
Sorry, I was too busy TED talking. No, you can absolutely promote your stuff. If you want to, I don't know if you can drop links even in. If you want to send me an email of your channel, because you won't be able to drop a link here, or of your website, whatever it is you've got, let us know. Oh my god. And I'll give it to the mods and they can drop it in the chat. Absolutely promote Rising Seas, lift all ships. Please tell us about your work. We love it.
That are based on food, supplements, exercise regimes. Could be things like red light therapy, light, sound, color therapy, all of those things. And as we move forwards, particularly with this these flying cars, etc., I think, and David Clements talks about this, that transport will be conscious. It won't just be a vehicle. It will be a conscious living flying thing.
So this is where I'm concerned about her rose-colored glasses, because oh hi Anne Heche, oh hi Paul Walker, oh hi, we don't need vehicles that regular people travel in that can be controlled remotely. I don't think we need it. And P.S. Pam McGregor, we already have it, and they use it as a murder tool. Just saying.
And we activate it via our own frequency. So we have to be at a certain frequency to connect to the vehicle and step into it and get it to operate. So huge developments in the technological area that are going to be very positive for us. As I say, all kinds of ways of creating energy that are free. We may ultimately just have a device, each of us in our house, that creates free energy for us. So we don't have to plug into failing power grids in the way that we do right now. And I do think that, as I mentioned earlier, that robots are going to become much more commonplace. They will greet us at the cinema and the theatre, they will do day-to-day routine tasks, and they will help you in your home, for those people who wish to have them. I'd find that slightly creepy, actually, but anyway, take your choice. Lee Harris, in his wonderful Looking Forward to 2026, has talked about the Z's, saying that this will be a very electrical year, and I absolutely agree with that. In Pluto in Aquarius, that's the sign to do with electricity. Uranus is the planet linked to electricity, moving into Gemini. It's going to be a very electrical year. And by that, that brings in speed. It also really makes us conscious that everything is energy and frequency. Everything. It always has been. We just haven't been very conscious of that. We're going to become much more conscious. We're going to become more aware of the degenerative effects of certain electrical equipment, computers, Wi-Fi, satellites, etc., and the effect it has on our systems. And equally, there will be further developments of regenerative technologies to help to protect us from the degenerative effects of these frequencies. We'll be much more aware and conscious of that, and wanting to live with regenerative technology and in places that are beautiful nature, where the earth just barefoot on the grass does that very quickly for us. So we'll become aware, much more conscious, that everything in life is a frequency match in our reality. It always has been. We'll just become much more aware of it. We will find ways to clean up our oceans and seas and land, with all the toxicity and pollution, very quickly with these new technologies. And that's starting to happen already. I believe that a new financial system, at least one and maybe more, will start to emerge in 2026 for sure.
No shit.
With a whole new infrastructure, the old infrastructure financially, which
get ready for a global financial collapse. It's very imminent. If you have the ability, capacity to get Bitcoin, to a lesser degree, silver and gold, but Bitcoin, get your cash out if you can. The AI technology bubble is about to burst. It's there's no substance to it. It's vapid, and the entire economy, global economy, is built on that, and housing. So, silver is at an all-time high. Ditto, Simi. Things are getting pretty tight around here. I'm not rostered to work Monday either. It's fine. It's fine. We're fine. It's not stressful.
we've known will collapse. I think we're close to that now. Uranus stays in Taurus until 26th of April, as I say, and particularly when it's at the anaretic degree, the very last degree of Taurus, I think we could see a lot of radical change, but potentially collapse in the old financial system. It can also bring in greater digitization. There is a push towards centralization, but also there are many other options for decentralized digital currencies, which you may be aware of. And so with the changes in the financial structure and the collapse of the old financial infrastructure, the collapse of the old order will continue all of this year, actually. Uranus is conjunct the fixed star Algol at 27 of Taurus. From now until early March, we will see many figures in the public eye exit, fall from grace. Whether that is celebrities, just people in the public eye, whether it's politicians and leaders, we're seeing this already, governments falling. Many more will continue to fall if they have not acted in integrity, honesty. We will see a lot of that happening. We will see a lot of shift towards society being based on grassroots up rather than top-down structure. And again, I've talked about that in huge detail, but information networks, operating at the grassroots, like tree roots. A lot of very helpful information connecting people in various communities in a grassroots way of, again, ways to purify water, grow new food, connect with each other, etc. Our psychic sensitivity is going to continue to increase. People are already feeling this
Hi,
very
Lindsay.
strongly.
Good to see
And
you.
all of us will feel this. The clair senses are going to
thanks for
come
joining.
online in a bigger way, whether that's clair cognizance, audience, sentience, whatever, voyance, clairvoyance. We are going to feel that a lot more. More and more people are going to start to channel members of their galactic family, star beings, planets, trees, animals, plants. They're going to start to channel any living conscious being as we shift into a greater sense of our multidimensionality. And also, of course, as we become more multidimensional and we can shift between different, literally, dimensions, obviously that 3D linear time is not going to work. It's going to dissolve. And I think we'll shift much more, as well as being in the 0 point and recognizing the only power is now. We will also...
So her talking about 0 point, I'm asking you all, chat, a question, goes back to what we were talking about of the 360 degrees of the zodiac wheel. Am I right? So people who are at a 0 point, who are those people? Are they the 1st of January people? Like, this is my IDK. Who are those people? Can anybody be at the 0 point? What are we doing here? What are we doing here? Help me out. I'll press play and you guys will catch up.
So go back to the indigenous idea of time is cyclical, connected to the seasons of Earth, the seasons of nature. I think we will see a lot of very strong revolutionary energy in 2026. I mean, February is super strong with a lot of Aquarian energy in 2026. We also have Pluto in Aquarius.
Pause again. Sorry, with all the pausing, it's kind of for fair use and kind of me. Hi, it's me. Lainey's over on Kick. So just to catch up, we've been having some stream disruptions, and heading over to Kick to complete the stream. It occurred to me last night when I was scheduling this live stream that how about I stream to YouTube, Twitter, X, and Kick simultaneously. And if YouTube kills the stream, we can just seamlessly step over onto Kick and continue watching. And there'll be a complete video of the entire stream versus this fractured bullshit, which we've had for the last couple of nights. I mean, I'm not, most of my streams are being demonetized. And I haven't been switching on ad revenue after the fact anyway, because I'm not here for the money. I don't care. So normally I'd say, hey, if you can be on you, like in the past when we had thousands and thousands of views and I was switching on monetization, I'd say please be over here on YouTube. But you can be on either or. It doesn't make any difference to my back pocket. We're not here for the money, and Kick is fun on over there. So yes.
Way through till 2044, and we know from Rosie Finn's wonderful 20-year research project that just last year Pluto moved out of bounds to the south. I'll put the link of my conversation with Rosie Finn below if you're not familiar with that, and that brings in, over the next 10 years, but it gets kind of more and more subdued, really. It's very strong in 2026, more revolutionary energy. And that reinforces the whole message of Pluto and Aquarius of power shifting to the people, away from top-down hierarchy, structure, elitism, inequality, towards a more horizontally based society. That's going to become much more apparent in 2026, began in 2025, much clearer.
Pause. So we can read that. We can interpret that in a couple of ways, because obviously 2030 is fast approaching. The machinations of the world in terms of Venezuela war, Iran war, bombing of Nigeria, all of the things is all part of the grand scheme plan by the powers that be. We've talked about it before. I don't want to risk this stream too much, but working towards a one government, right? So is what this Pam just said, this Pam, not our Pammy, do you think that she's perhaps taking that flattening, that horizontalization? Is that a word? Decomplexification. Remember that one? That wasn't my word. I don't. Do you think the flattening of the governmental or the power structure in the world is obviously New World Order is not a good thing? We're resisting at all costs. I don't want to black pill. I have a feeling it's a little bit late. But anyway, do you think, I'm going to scoot back a little bit. Let's listen to it again. Do you think that's what she's kind of interpreting here? And if so, is that astrology or geopolitics and sheer terror?
More revolutionary energy. And that reinforces the whole message of Pluto in Aquarius of power shifting to the people, away from top-down hierarchy, structure, elitism, inequality, towards a more horizontally based society. That's going to become much more apparent in 2026, began in 2025, much clearer in 2026. I think we will see, as I mentioned earlier, these evolutionary waves coming in that Dr. David Clements has talked about, and it's going to be awakening on a mass level. You know, many, many people suddenly coming to see the truth. I think a lot of truth will come out right through the year, particularly strong around February and March. And that those truth waves will create the awakening. And so people will go up in waves.
Clip it. Those truth waves will become the awakening. Amen. This is what we're doing. The truth waves. Yes, Vixie. The truth waves. So the noticing, the being open and receptive and willing and to understand the truths, the horrifying, uncomfortable truths of everything. That's where the awakening comes. I do think we're going to come to a point where there are just a couple of options, despite quantum physics, proving that there are infinite number of outcomes. I do think we're coming to a crossroads in history, future, humanity. And so the truth waves and the awakening are so important. And that's what we're doing here.
People will awaken in waves to a greater sense of their own truth. And that will feed the revolutionary
personal,
energy. And it doesn't have to
micro
be
and macro.
Violent, shouting and on the street. It can be a revolution of love, just shifting to a place of energetic disengagement from the old world and engagement with people who are soul tribe, who are on the same wavelength as you, the same frequency as you, who have the same values as you. I think we are going to see a huge amount of disclosure in 2026 about our history, about who we truly are as humanity. And that's going to be amazing. I think there's going to be a lot of galactic disclosure. And one of the reasons I say that is the seed point for Uranus and Neptune, i.e. when was the last conjunction, was in 1993. And that's when Dr. Greer began his disclosure project. Well, this year, Uranus and Neptune coming to the kind of the next step, as it were, from that conjunction, which is the sextile. And that sextile is very close already, but will be exact in July. July is a real peak when that unique astrological configuration, that kind of mini triangle I've talked so much about, I'll put the link for the big picture below this video as well. That's when it takes its next step in terms of disclosure. So I think a lot to do with our star family coming to light. And the galactic disclosure, I think, again, is going to come in waves. But
I think she's saying sextar, like TAR, like maybe someone could Google it and see what or someone in chat might already know what that means. Like this is a vague interest of mine, and I find it intriguing, and I believe, but I'm not at all well versed. My poor little brain at the moment is overflowing. So anybody who wants to search out some of this stuff and drop it into chat, we can have some more learning time. But not sex doll, sex tar, I think. See me.
From May onwards, Uranus moves into Gemini in as I've mentioned several times, April 26th this year, stays there till 2033. And that is about literally galactic Uranus, Gemini communication, channeling of galactics, galactic news, galactic connections.
Pam McGregor, I'm more delighted by every single time she says Uranus. I'm so 12. I'm like, I don't know, does she not want to say Uranus? Fair. We'll say it for you, Pam McGregor.
Of all kinds. It becomes conjunct to Sedna in late May. That's a kind of ignition point for our metamorphosis into this homo luminous, this more crystalline structure. Uranus is square to the nodal axis. It's our direction, our collective soul's path of growth, and Uranus is in aspect to it in June. That is another potential wave of awakening, but also galactic connection. So I think it's going to be an extraordinary year of exciting disclosures. I think the other thing as well is that there's been quite a lot of this already this year. It's going to be even more discovery of ancient cities, temples, civilization, some underwater, and a real discovery of our ancient wisdom. Because, so often we've been told that we are the pinnacle of civilization currently. Well, I think that just simply isn't the case.
It could be loud. Wait.
It's learning time with Cam Shorty. Finding out something new every day.
Make it merch. Sextar. Capoeira. Thanks, Shelley.
Because the more we discover these ancient civilizations and how advanced they were, I think we have to pay homage to that, but also remember and reconnect to that ancient wisdom. Look already at the discoveries that have been made under the pyramids in Giza. There's incredible devices that look as if they produce power and energy under the pyramids of the Giza Plateau that are very, very sophisticated. And I think we are going to discover an awful lot more under those pyramids that really are quite extensive, I think, quite extensive underground. And that is going to reconnect us to all that we knew as beings in that time. It's going to be so exciting. So we are also going to reconnect in this increased sensitivity to the elemental, not just our galactic family, but the elemental world, the tree beings, the fairies, the elves, the animal kingdom. And you can have a mantra of, I am a multidimensional being. I am a multidimensional being. Allow me to connect to all expressions of consciousness, living, loving consciousness in the world. I think
Thanks, Pam McGregor. We'll get back to you momentarily. So, Shelley, good work. Good work. KKK. So, sextan. The most commonly refers to sextans, a faint constellation on the celestial equator, named after the sextant. Makes sense. How many times can I say sextant, sextile, sextan? Sextant, an astronomical instrument for measuring angles between celestial bodies. Huh. We probably should actually learn. We've learned twice. We've learned twice in quick succession.
It's learning time with Cam Shorty. Finding out something new every day.
Thank you, Shelley.
We are also, and David Clements has talked very extensively and beautifully about this, that what we are going through is not just an evolution for humanity or even for Gaia. It's an evolution of the entire universe. And that is why, and this project is absolutely immense, his word, immense. So just understand the scale of what we are going through, what we are involved in right now, and how exciting that is. And really embrace it with every cell in your being, that this is a phenomenal opportunity beginning in 2026. Just the beginning, this is going to go on to infinity. This is a lifetime, and he has said this is a lifetime where we can truly move from being largely a third dimensional being into many higher dimensions than that, and truly evolve and have very different experiences to anything we've known in this lifetime and many lifetimes in the past. And yeah, this increased sense of telepathy will come in, of our healing ability. And yes, this sense of connecting to all living beings, this sense of oneness, I think will be really beautiful. I do think there will be continued. We had a very active year with seismic activity. You may be aware. I think this will actually go up the scale, but already I think we are the 6th most seismically active year in 2025. I think that will be even more active in 2026. There's been a huge amount of volcanic activity across the world, some of it underwater. Currently, as I speak, Italy is very active, Mount Etna, etc. And there's an underwater volcanic system in Italy that is very, very little known, but that's becoming very active as well. Hawaii, a lot of volcanic activity has been right across the world. I think that is going to increase even more because this is a symptom of Gaia going through her own rebirth and shedding many, many years of trauma.
So I believe that Pam details the mythological lore of Gaia in the interview we're going to watch next. Excuse me. And also, I mean, think about all the tsunamis. I know Ms. What the Fuck has been getting, had been, I'm not sure lately, more earthquake, more tremors, big ones in her, home state of Alaska. And, big things have been happening. Rock and roll says, I have think. She said sextile as in astrology. Fuck the words. Astrological degrees, 60 degrees between planets. It's a harmonious angle. Smooth communication and conscious growth per Google. Look at all the stuff we're learning. I won't play the jingle again. Thank you, rock and roll. Look at us. We're all researchers. I love this so much. See, I knew this would be a positive stream to have. We're learning. We're regenerating and rejuvenating our hope for the year. Empowered with knowledge. Lots of sun energy, solar flares, etc. this year. Volcanic activity connects fire, horse, visual. Yes! Did you like my thumbnail for this live stream? I made that image using ChatGPT. Bloody good tool. Yikes. And then Canva for the art, for the thumbnail itself. Thanks, Pammy. Yes. Mother Nature is going to blow. That's what she said. Yikes.
I think we are going to have a revolution in physics and how physics operates, a totally new understanding of our reality as everything really being not only more fluid and more malleable, but a sense of magnetic resonance. That everything is just an expression, the planets, the people, every living thing is just an expression of magnetic resonance. We really are going to discover the harmony of the spheres that Pythagoras talked about.
Pause because I saw Lainey said, my niece got a C-Star telescope camera for Christmas and has been taking pictures of celestial bodies ever since. Christmas Day, she got the shits if sun showing. No, she got shots. Wait, typo. Great typo. Excuse me. Got shots of the sun showing 2 huge sunspot flares. Wow. That sounds like a cool toy/tool. Wow.
And we are going to discover a physics of consciousness in a much bigger way. This kind of coming together of science and spirituality, a physics of consciousness that we have never truly understood, at least in recent lifetimes. I think they were way ahead in ancient times, but in more recent times. So it's very interesting that we're going to discover that consciousness is primary as well. It always has been. We're going to really feel that everything comes from energy. Consciousness is primary everywhere. I've mentioned in other videos that this conjunction, this very important one-time conjunction between Saturn and Uranus, which happens every 36, 37 years, but not at 0 of Aries. It last happened at 0 of Aries, credit to Heather Ainsworth for discovering this in her research, was in 4361 BC, so almost 6,000 years ago. And that was really a time of Neolithic society. There was peace, there was no war. And that was really the beginning of societies, of societies being structured in some way, agricultural settlements. It was the beginning of early writing, of astrology, of shamanism. Sacred sites were being built then. There was a sense of divinity coming in, this connection to the divine at that time. But it really was the birth of society, in recorded history as we know it. So with this Saturn-Neptune conjunction happening again at 044 of Aries on the 20th of February exactly, what new society is being birthed right now that we as humanity are birthing? I think it's a much more galactic civilization and a much more loving civilization. I also think it's a much more peaceful civilization going forward, because if we're going to be of higher consciousness, we're not going to have war and polarity and I'm right, you're wrong. The Neolithic times, as I understand them, were times of peace. There was no war. And it's very interesting that many of you are aware there's a trine between Uranus and Pluto right now that will become exact in July. It's really running right through 2025, 26, 2027, and then Uranus starts to move on. But the seed point for that was 1965-66, the exact conjunction of Uranus and Pluto. And those were the years, as I've mentioned before, of hippiedom, the summer of love, the Beatles music, All You Need Is Love. Do you remember, you may have heard the Beatles music or lived through that time. It was anti-war, it was all about peace and love and coming together in community, growing food. And, it was beautiful. It was incredibly rich creatively and culturally. This is now the blossoming of the seed point of that conjunction, 65, 90.
Isn't that beautiful? The blossoming of the seed point. Is her couch red too? We're asking the hard-hitting questions. Here, let me move myself up. Let's check. Yeah, I think yes. I think yes. She definitely the big cushions are, right? She's all about that red. It's the year of the fire horse, obviously. Sorry about the dirty pause, Pam McGregor.
1965, 1966, together with what I've just been saying about the last.
Who was it that said they were 1966? Was that you, Washbar? See? Shout out 1966. Sup?
Saturn-Neptune conjunction at the Aries. So I think we have some real promise around going forwards into an age of peace. And once we reconnect to our galactic family, it'll seem like a kind of schoolyard fight to be arguing with our neighbors in the next country or halfway across the world. It'll just seem ridiculous. I think with that Uranus-Neptune sextile becoming exact, all of these are becoming exact in July. The trine between Pluto and Uranus, the sextiles between Neptune and Pluto and Neptune and Uranus. The Neptune-Uranus side will expose us to or help us to experience realities we've never experienced before or even thought existed. We are going to have the most incredible transcendent experiences that we have never, bliss experiences, a feeling of radiant presence that we can embody.
Wait.
That
is red leather couch and red couches a joke that I'm missing? Fill me in. Is this a reference? I don't watch stuff. Come on, chat.
We're just unimaginable. Saturn-Neptune conjunction is about making real the dream. It's also about the birth of a new Aries spiritual Neptune identity. A new, Aries is I am, Neptune entering. It actually enters on the 26th, 27th of January, but it becomes exact with Saturn on the 20th of February. The new spiritual identity. That's what's being birthed. And, how exciting is that? So just really embrace this. I think the role of water will be huge as we move forwards. Veda Austin has some, just beautiful, beautiful work with this. But I think we will understand the role of water as we being liquid crystals. And of course, we can't live without water. We're ingesting it all the time. I now bless all of the water I drink. I bless the shower. If I go swimming, I bless that water. Blessing the water will help it to become high frequency as we ingest it. And that can only help us too. But we're going to discover a lot more about water and the role of water.
Write that down. We're going to bless all the water. I'm going to bless my coffee. Do I bless my wine? I do anyway. Raising your frequency, and that's what we do here together, right? We're raising our frequency. Our kindness raises our frequency. Our intellectual but also good natured excuse me conversations raise our frequency. But interesting to know that you can bless your water, that helps. Every little bit counts, right?
In elevating our consciousness. We are going to shed identities and titles. They just won't matter. You know, if you're a chief executive, had a title on your door and a big car, just will seem irrelevant, because we're going to live much more as equals moving forwards in community. It just won't matter. I think money will matter less. Maybe in the short term, we'll still be concerned about it. We've still got to pay the gas bill, the electricity bill, whatever. But longer term, it will seem less and less relevant, because we'll be so competent at manifesting as we move forwards, and we'll be sharing, we'll be in collaboration, we'll be growing food together. We will value the simple. We will value the simple. People on that love timeline are going to love the earth, value the simple, yearn for the simple, versus the complexity of that more technological timeline. I think there will be new social media platforms, new internet. I've personally witnessed a new intranet, let's call it, for community. Intranet just operates within the community, which is completely private. We will see a lot more of those because of censorship issues. And so those information networks will become very important. And I think in the short term, where there is
Sorry,
more...
I just yelled into the microphone because of censorship issues. No shit, man. No shit, man. Anyway, yes, new diversifying and finding alternative means for communicating, to share the truth, to enable the awakening is what we're going to be having to do, more than likely. We're doing it already.
Challenge to freedom of speech, if that still continues for a short time, more people will want to find freedom. This is Uranus and Gemini. Gemini is your day-to-day living. And it's very much to do with mobility anyway, ruled by Mercury. But Uranus moving in there at the end of April until 2033 will encourage more people to live off-grid, and also van life, camper van life will become a much bigger thing. People just on the move the whole time. It's already quite a significant movement. I think it will.
Pause. That's a really good question. Hope says, some take advantage of our kindness. How do we stop that when we're led by being kind? Honest question. Well, I'm glad you asked. In my opinion, boundaries for ourselves are a really important way of protecting us being taken advantage of. You can be kind within the boundary of what isn't detrimental to yourself, but giving without boundaries, whether that's kindness, time, resources, energy, attention, money, effort, all those things, is actually basically just enabling the other person, and it will drain your cup much more quickly. So if one, not you, Hope, but if one understands where one's own boundaries lies, where the rim of your plate ends, will stop you from overburdening your plate with giving to others and then overflowing. So it's not unkind to say no to someone. It's sometimes more kind to say no than to be limitless and boundless with one's all of the above, the stuff I just mentioned. So being kind to yourself is where it's at. And when you have firm, clear, fair, reasonable boundaries set for yourself and you adhere to them, you can then also apply those boundaries in what you give of yourself to others. Some people will refuse to respect those boundaries. And that's when you understand that they're taking advantage of you, that it's not kindness they're seeking. It's an energy vampire leech situation. So it all I had this conversation with my friend last night. It all goes back to knowing your own boundaries, where that edge is for you, and respecting those boundaries, and then operating within your own boundaries when it comes to interacting with other people. Because, you know, some motherfuckers are just going to take advantage, aren't they? Like, they're going to take advantage. They don't give a fuck. They don't care about your boundaries. And so boundaries are so important. And difficult conversations come within that boundaries sort of framework as well, in my opinion. So I hope that helps. Hope for all of us kind, loving, empathetic, and empaths who are often people pleasers because of our neurodivergence and our trauma. Boundaries are the only way forward for humanity, in my opinion. And holding firm on the boundaries when the people refuse to respect your boundaries or bigger boundaries, that's when you have to go, no, this is disrespectful. Respect is a two-way street. So I hope that helps. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
Become much bigger. But as I say, this sense of stillness, regularly dropping into 0 point, dropping into your heart, creating coherence, being aware of that many times through the day, and creating this coherence, this physiological harmony from brain to heart and through your being, will help us to create more harmony with Gaia and all of her living creatures. Understanding this magnetic resonance and how everything operates in our reality will really help our manifesting ability as well. We're going to become masters of our understanding our frequency and commanding our frequencies. So this is a really big part of living from the inside out, not the outside in. The importance of our focus and attention in creating what we want, and ultimately realizing that everything in your reality comes from inside you, everything. Leadership, if there is such a word, going forwards will be more visionary rather than dominating. It will be calm, kind, visionary, compassionate. It will be very different. It will simply be people emanating light, emanating a radiant presence, and people want to be around them. People wanting to be in that team. It will in no way be dictatorial or rules-based at all. A lot of innovators and pioneers coming forwards as well with new ideas and new technology. Integrity, humility, service to others, big part of leadership and a big part of entry into these higher dimensions. Things can move so fast. For some people, it may feel destabilizing, and there could be more mental health issues too. That's very much Pluto and Aquarius and Uranus and Gemini. So please really commit to these very simple practices to keep you grounded. Have a daily grounding practice. Bare feet on the grass, breath work, Tai Chi, yoga, whatever it is. Have a daily practice to bring you back to that sense of absolute stability, energetic stability and coherence. And you may say, you always get the question, well, what about the wars and the poverty and the suffering and the starvation? Awful, absolute horrors. And I've always said our task is to raise our consciousness beyond that kind of suffering and polarity so it becomes unthinkable. And that's one of the main reasons I started up my free 15-minute meditations every night, 7 p.m. UK time. If you don't know about that, you just connect energetically. You go to my meditation page on my website, pamgregory.com. You can get the video.
There you go, pamgregory.com, 7 p.m. UK time. Vixie can tell us what that time will be. But or just Google it. If Steph was here, she could tell us because she's all good with that stuff. Pammy says, I had to Google Gaia. It is equal to Earth in one definition. Thank you. Love.
Of the original idea I had, 2 free 15-minute videos if you want a guided meditation, or literally just follow the suggestions I make in the video, and off we go. Thousands of people are doing this, maybe tens of thousands. I don't know. There's no tech, there's no Zoom, but I know when people connect, they are having very powerful experiences of healing, of light, of heart connection. Beautiful. We are going to have much more latitude individually in our reality, because we are going to become more multidimensional. So in the past, we've had, certainly, although that started to break down in the last few years, since about 2020, we've had a kind of broad consensus reality of how it works. We go to school, if we do well, we go to college. If that works well, we get a good job, we get a good salary, we buy a house, we meet a partner, we have children. No more. it's going to be much more multidimensional than that. And so although we'll come together in community, families of frequency, we will have more individual expression. You'll be expressing your individual gifts more fully than you have ever done before. And this isn't, as we move forwards, about linear progression. It's about expanded awareness and expanded perception. It's not about a place or we don't go anywhere. It's within us. The veil drops. We expand our awareness. We expand our perception. And heart coherence is the way to do it.
Yes.
So I just keep thinking, we're welcoming in an ever-expanding consciousness of love. That will serve you well. Now, I'd like to talk about some of the months and some of the, what I call astrological probability peaks, just broadly, because I think as we move through the year, this is going to become more and more abstract. Because it has to, as we shift from more of a dense 3D experience into experiencing higher dimensions, by definition, it's going to become more fluid, more malleable, more abstract. So that's another reason why I really wanted to do this just as themes rather than pinning details down month by month. It's going to be interesting to see what happens to astrology in general, isn't it? I don't have an answer for that right now. Okay, so even in January, we've got some powerful astrology. I've already filmed a video on the first half of January, and not only that powerful full supermoon in Cancer, which is exactly on the sun of the US in the US chart, it's also conjunct the midheaven of the UK chart, set for 1st of January, 0 hours London, 1801. And that has a midheaven of 10 degrees of Cancer. So this full supermoon is conjunct that. It is also opposing the sun in that chart, which from memory, I think is actually at 13 degrees of Capricorn, but both the midheaven and the sun in that UK chart are about leadership and government. So that full supermoon on the 3rd is going to shine a bright light on leadership in the US, but also in the UK.
Pause.
It's going to be interesting, isn't it?
It is interesting because that was last night here. That's tonight. Like last night was the 3rd for me. You guys are on the 3rd now. She made this video a couple of days ago. And what happened overnight? Venezuela. Fuck.
So be aware of that. Then we have that very powerful lineup of the personal planets. We have, I think Mercury is included in this, Venus, Mars, and the Sun in a direct opposition to Jupiter. That's a very powerful geometry with a lot of energetic pull to it, and that really runs from the 3rd to the 10th. It's most exact on the 9th, kind of 7th to the 9th of January. It may bring about some powerful events. It could be an Earth experience. We don't know. But I think something will happen round about, particularly the 7th to the 9th. Then we get into the second half of January. We've got an important new moon. I'm going to be doing a video on that in the next few days. That is on the 28th of Capricorn. That is conjunct the US Pluto in that US chart, 4th of July, 1776, 10 past 5 in the afternoon, Philadelphia. US Pluto is in the second house of the country's economy. So it's the value of the dollar. And Pluto rules the 12th house of enemies. Normally it's generally it's secret enemies, but it's in the second house of the country's chart. So we may see some shifts in the dollar, something to do with finance at that time.
Yeah,
also
man.
Values for the US, remember, second
The
house
whole
is
world's
values.
going to crash.
So let's see what unfolds.
financially.
But within a few days of that, we have a whole series of conjunctions to Pluto. 20th of January, Venus conjuncts Pluto. Venus is value, currencies, money, banking. So that could suggest some volatility coming in stock markets, currencies. On the 22nd, we have Mercury conjunct Pluto. All of these are at 3 degrees of Aquarius. That's where Pluto sits. Aquarius is the sign of truth. We could see a great deal of truth coming to light. Whenever you get a Mercury-Pluto conjunction, particularly Pluto is secrets, but it's in the sign of Aquarius, powerful truths coming to light. Then we have the Sun conjunct Pluto on the 23rd, issues around power, freedom, human rights, civil rights, revolutionary energy. On the 27th, we have Mars conjunct Pluto. This is power. It can be brute force. 3 degrees of Aquarius is the ascendant of China. Just keep an eye on China, whether China is going to become more assertive at this time. Individually, Mars conjunct Pluto has tremendous focus and willpower to achieve a task. Tremendous. So we can use it well in that sense. So I'm going through these quickly because I'm obviously going to get into much more detail on a month-by-month basis. February is strong too. 17th of February, which is the beginning of the Chinese New Year, excuse me, and the beginning of the year of the fire horse. We have a solar eclipse, annular solar eclipse at 28 of Aquarius. This is conjunct the US moon, which I think is right on that. I think the US moon is at 27 of Aquarius, but it's right on it. The US moon is in the 3rd house of media and communication, and the moon rules the 8th house of investment in the country. So with a solar eclipse there, this brings up much more revolutionary energy on the part of the people. It could be, again, volatility to do with the strength of the dollar. That solar eclipse is exactly square to Uranus at the end of Taurus. Just watch tech stocks, tech and AI stocks at that time. There could be volatility around those. Within 3 days of that, we have this exact one-time Saturn-Neptune conjunction. It's been almost 6,000 years since it happened at that time. I don't know when the next Saturn-Neptune conjunction at Series of Aries is. It could be thousands of years in the future. Make the most of this. Make real the dream. New spiritual identity. March, we have 3i Atlas coming to its closest point in its flyby to Jupiter. It's then going to exit our solar system after that. That's on the 16th of March. That is when Jupiter is in Cancer. It's exalted in the sign of Cancer, and Jupiter is also at 15 degrees of Cancer. That is not only the sign that Jupiter is exalted in, it's the exact degree of all the 360 degrees in the zodiac that Jupiter is exalted in. And 3i Atlas is passing at its closest point to Jupiter on the 16th. I think that will be some kind of an activation. Jupiter is to do with our future vision. It's to do with our belief system. It's to do with inspiration. It's to do with wisdom, particularly ancient wisdom, Cancer. I think this could really activate a lot of ancient wisdom, ancient remembrance going way back. Our ancestral wisdom could be activated at that time. It's going to be very interesting to see. Then, of course, we have the Aries equinox. And in February, the Aquarius energy is super strong, which is about humanitarianism, revolution, rebellion. From March onwards, my goodness, the Aries energy becomes very strong. It's very strong, obviously, at the Aries equinox, but remember that we generally have the personal planets moving through Aries at this time of the year, of course, because that's the Aries season, but we don't normally have Saturn and Neptune co-present as well. So very strong Aries energy then, which is the energy of, that is the astrological new year in tropical Western astrology, the Aries equinox, 21st of March. And then by the time we get into the new moon in Aries in April, I think we have 8 orbiting bodies in Aries. We have the personal planets, we have Saturn, Neptune, we also have Chiron, we have the dwarf planets of Eris and Manwe. We have 8 orbiting bodies in Aries. That's extraordinary. So this is very much about new beginnings. I think we're going to have a huge wave of evolutionary energy at that time. There could well be in February, around 17th to the 20th, another big one in April. Does that mean Aries is linked to war? Could there be more war? Yeah, on that fear timeline, absolutely. How long will those things last? War? Well, as long as humanity keeps giving its focus and attention to them. We're co-creators here. You know, I've often had a phrase of starve out the scary, love in the good. As long as we keep giving our focus and attention to the drama, we are going to keep drip feeding life force to those things we don't want. So yeah, that could continue on that particular timeline. It doesn't have to be your timeline, but certainly there's a possibility of war continuing on that timeline, which you have, if you're on the love timeline, you may barely be aware of. You may have no direct personal experience of that. That isn't spiritual bypassing. It's really saying that, come on, guys, let's all get onto the love train. You know, the summer of love, where war just cannot exist. It dissolves. It can bring about more wildfires. Let's hope it doesn't. If we stay calm and send love and peace to the earth, that dampens down that possibility. But it is immensely creative. It's pioneering this surge of new beginnings. And you had a rehearsal for that in the middle months of last year. Summer in the Northern Hemisphere. Whatever you were doing around June, July, August, as I mentioned before, that was your rehearsal for what you can more fully launch as we get into April. Big deal. Don't miss your opportunity. This is a one-time hit conjunction between Saturn and Neptune. 26th of April, Uranus moves into Gemini. And that is going to speed life up even more, and it ain't going to slow down anytime after that. But we will get used to it as we shift into a high frequency. That will just become the new normal. In May, we have, and by the way, Mars is in Aries, very, very strong pioneering energy of initiation between the 9th of April and the 18th of May. May, Sun conjunct Uranus on the 22nd of April. That's a real ignition point as well. 22nd of May, 26th of May, Mars square Pluto. Very powerful as a force, can be a brute force. And again, think of China, because that's at 3 degrees of Taurus, 3 degrees of Aquarius for Pluto.
It might be interesting for us to revisit some of her predictions. I mean, she already said something major is going to happen on the moon of the 3rd to the 4th, which for me was overnight last night, Venezuela. For you guys, still getting there. But we'll call it 1 24-hour cycle, right? I wonder, note to self, not good with planning, but maybe we can check back in quarterly and do what did Pam McGregor get right?
We then have in late May, Uranus conjunct Sedna, exactly. And that is an ignition point for our metamorphosis as we shift towards becoming more crystalline. June, we have that Uranus square to the nodal axis. I think that will be another wave of mass awakening and more evidence of our galactic family coming in. Uranus rules the galactics. Right at the end of June 30th, Jupiter moves into Leo. This can expand our heart chakra, really expand this idea of heart-centered leadership from that point on. Not dominating leadership, heart-centered leadership. July is extraordinary. I mean, there's just so much in July. That unique mini triangle I've talked about that really runs 25, 26, 27, comes to its...
You know what happens in July this year in the States? Of course you do. 250, anybody? Wow. With all of these planetary alignments and this stuff. Oh, wow. July is going to be massive.
Most exact point in July. It's a whole cascade of exact aspects. And so if you have anything that's exact at 4 degrees of the signs they're in, by then Pluto 4 degrees of Aquarius, Uranus 4 degrees of Gemini, Neptune, Saturn will have moved on by then, but Neptune 4 degrees of Aries. So if you have anything between 3 and 5 degrees, particularly of any sign, you will be receiving an aspect of that. So that's a real kind of high point in the year. Jupiter, as I say, has just entered Leo then. On the 4th of July, Mars conjuncts Uranus. That's a very combustible and exciting, really exciting kind of breakthrough energy. On the 27th, the nodes move into, 27th of July, the nodes move into Aquarius and Leo. So again, this shift towards egalitarianism, humanitarianism, power shifting to the people, and that reinforces a lot of the positive messages of Pluto at Aquarius. Chiron moves into Taurus. It's been a long time in Aries. Chiron moves into Taurus in July until September, really early October. And then next May, it comes back into Taurus from May 27. This is going to bring about some wonderful healing technologies, healing our bodies and healing the earth. It may bring up more disruption in financial markets because Taurus is also linked to money, wealth, currencies, the financial markets. But it will really help the healing of our bodies and the healing of the earth. We have 2 eclipses in August, so that's very strong. The lunar eclipse that we have on the 28th is square to Uranus again. We have a lot of Uranian energy. Galactics, breakthrough, higher mind. September, we have we've got Mars square to Saturn on the 1st. That can be quite militaristic, but it can also give you a very disciplined energy to achieve. On the 26th of September, we have a full moon at 3 of Aries, conjunct Neptune, shining a light on your new spiritual identity. October, on the 3rd, Venus moves retrograde at 8 of Scorpio. And often when Venus moves retrograde, we have some drop in the stock market or just wealth in general, values of currencies, etc. And on the 16th, Pluto moves stationary direct at 3 of Aquarius. Again, Pluto's power archetype magnified on the ascendant of China. On the 19th of October, Uranus is square to Pluto at 3 degrees of Scorpio Aquarius. This could very well bring up some financial news, volatility, changes in currency values and stock markets, digital currencies coming to the fore. And they don't have to be centralized. They can be completely decentralized, microcurrencies even. November 16th, we have Mars conjunct Jupiter. This is very powerful, focused, stepping into heart-centered leadership, a surge of energy into that. 24th of November, we have a full moon, 2 degrees of Gemini conjunct Uranus. Again, Uranus in the picture. So, and then December the 4th, we have Mars square to Uranus, a very combustible and exciting aspect, which again, this may be some almost transport connection to, aviation connection to our galactic family. But through the year, because everything's becoming more valuable, it will get more and more abstract. But we will all be in a different place, one way or another, by the end of 2026. Frequency will be our currency. Radiant presence will be our abundance. Just that sense of pure radiant presence. When you notice when a particular person steps into a room and they're just full of light and they lift the energy of the room, that will be abundance from that point on. So this has been a long video, a mega pamble, one might say.
We love it.
Be courageous, be bold,
Yes.
take a risk. We are being given extraordinary astrological and cosmic opportunities here that in many ways are just coming around once, like the Saturn-Neptune conjunction at 0 of Aries. That's not going to come around again at 0 of Aries for potentially thousands of years. Stand in your truth. Take more time away from the noise, the drama, the distractions.
Yes.
Drop into stillness. Have a daily practice. Ground. Do breath work. Particularly investigate, and there are many forms of breath work, yogic breath work, Wim Hof breath work, Buteyko breath work. There are many forms. I personally do Soma breath, which is a combination of yogic and Buteyko and Wim Hof. It's particularly powerful to hold on the exhale. You exhale all your breath and then hold.
Yep.
And don't go beyond your comfort zone with this. But it's that
Because you actually regenerate your stem cells by doing that. It's very healing. So holding your breath, not at your full capacity, holding your breath, taking more of a breath, holding it, and then letting it out slowly, slowly, holding it on the way down and then on the way further. Actually trying to do that for 60-ish seconds a few times a day
in between the breath.
will absolutely it's healing, physically healing, and it will make you look and feel more youthful, more calm, and honestly regenerates stem cells. So you don't need to pay for this shit.
Breath, which is most powerful. This is how the Indian yogis developed what were called their siddhis, their magical powers. And that's very simple to do at home, and gradually build the length of time you can hold on the exhale. And you really start to feel the energy moving around your body. It can start a kind of Kundalini experience, which you can then monitor and control yourself, depending on how much you do it and how far you push it. But this is going to be,
Awesome.
I think, a year like no other. It's fair to say. Focus on the positive. Don't keep looking back to what's collapsing. Embrace your creativity, embrace the opportunities that are coming in 2026, because they are extraordinary. As I say, this is the lifetime where we are actually able to move from being a 3D regular person into something much more high dimensional and multidimensional. So we have the potential to embody more light. That's happening already. And I really wish you all of you, a spectacular 2026. I do absolutely believe, and I believe it began, just the very tip of it began at the Capricorn solstice, that this is the beginning of a whole new episode.
Wait, trust me, there's more just the tip in the next interview. Sorry, I shouldn't have interrupted her, but I'm 12.
Absolutely believe, and I believe it began, just the very tip of it began at the Capricorn solstice, that this is the beginning of a whole new episode of the evolution of humanity into the light body.
Yes.
And I believe we will look back in history, if we have such linearity, and say, this is the year it really began to change. It won't all happen in 2026. It's the very, very beginning of another very exciting episode for humanity. Our time capsule, our acorn that's meant to grow into an oak tree, is being activated in 2026, and just embrace all that it offers. I hope you found that helpful. I'll obviously be going into much greater detail month by month, if I'm able to go into detail as it morphs into something very different. But just sending you so much love, so much love. Step into love, step into that love timeline, embody the frequency of New Earth. It's an inside job, and just keep asking yourself, how good can it get? God bless. Thanks for all your love. Good luck. We're on the ride of our lives from now on. Bye for now.
Bye, Pam. Bye for just a minute. So that got me all emotional. What a wonderful, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I don't know what the throat clearing. I haven't had any cheese for days and weeks. Excuse me. What a wonderful time this has been. Rock and roll, yes. Now, if we're going to play a quick song break, and if you're up for it, I have got an interview that Pam McGregor. I'll drop her channel into chat again. Pam Gregory. I've been calling her McGregor. Pam Gregory, geez Louise, you know me. Now, so an interview she did with just 2 or 3 days ago with an Australian guy, actually, which is lovely. But in the meantime, let's do a song just to, if you need to go to the bathroom, let the dog out, do a chair dance. Here is you're very welcome, Pammy. Here is your opportunity to head over to Kick while I play the song, because then we can see how cool the animated emotes will be. While the music's playing, I'm pretty cool. Let me just do a couple of things here. Is up here, isn't it? This and no. Sorry, first day. This and. This time we can play the Nick music because I have access to my gosh darn it soundboard
Now
thing.
some music. The supreme leader decrees it.
You know what we're doing.
Good people shine the brightest in the darkest times, and wishes are like beauty, they are vain, vain things. Expect nothing at all, girl, but never lose hope. Walk a fine, fine line, give me just enough rope. Shine, shine, it's gonna be fine. Time is all mine. Fine lines, hard times make you who you are. Quitting ain't no option, girl, already come this far. Time is but a shadow in the construct of your mind. A lie unchecked becomes the truth, you know, time after time. Ephemeral and fleeting, fortunes always meet and run in circles. Water level things, gonna be just fine. Shine, shine, it's gonna be fine. Time is all mine. Fine lines, hard times make you who you are. Quitting ain't no option, girl, already come this far. Time is but a shadow in the construct of your mind. A lie unchecked becomes the truth, you know, time after time. Ephemeral and fleeting, fortunes always meeting, run in circles, water level things, gonna be just fine. Shine, shine, it's gonna be fine. Time is all mine. Fine lines, hard times make you who you are. Quitting ain't no option, girl, already come this far. Whoa, now slow down, what you gonna do? Lamplight and lifelines, the lighting circles you. Opportunity, community, living, breathing entity, creation, foundation, building your eternity. Shine, shine, it's gonna be fine. Time is all mine. Fine lines, hard times make you who you are. Quitting ain't no option, lost in the darkest times.
We're back. That was fun. See, it's been 2 years. No, it hasn't been 2 years. It's been long enough that we could have been doing that the whole time. I see we've got a new person, a chatter over there on Kick. Milkman. What are we doing? Well, we are talking about 2026, the year of the fire horse. We've just finished watching one amazingly uplifting video, and we're about to start on a second. Thank you all for being here. That was fun. Okay, now let me go and find the next video while you can stay over on Kick or you can come back from Kick. Oh, pause. Okay. And I'm going to go to the bathroom when I hit play. I don't know if we've got... Anyway, let's just go. Thanks, everyone, for being here.
Go in leaps. The energy is so different from the density of 2025. All of these cycles are converging. All the outer planets are changing sign. That particular configuration and the Saturn-Neptune conjunction last happened in 4361 BC. Astrology is going to change really radically. There's this kind of time slippage we're all experiencing because of the dissolution of linear time. Age will just not be a big deal. There may be some challenges in the financial markets as we move through next year. Is there a timeline for war? Absolutely. There will continue to be war until we really elevate our consciousness, but let's use it for something amazing, because it's not going to come around again. This is a one-hit wonder. It's kind of the end of the beginning. With all that unfolded with 3i Oculus, there's a convergence of experience around bliss, serenity, expanded, spacious timelessness and love. There's still another piece missing. There's still another catalyst to add into the mix. I'm going so goosebumpy now. Time is actually ruled in astrology by Saturn, who's linked to Chronos, chronology. And as Saturn is still currently in Pisces, that's a dissolution of time, symbolically, that we're going through. And, lots of people have been having this. I think 2025 has lasted about 3 weeks, actually. I mean, it's just, and we ain't seen nothing yet, because 2026 is going to get even faster, much faster. But, you have
I can't believe that, to be honest. But anyway, I'm here with you. Go on.
But there's this kind of time slippage we're all experiencing where you're driving along a piece of road and then all of a sudden you're driving along it again and you think, haven't I just done this? There's kind of time warping and time slipping because we're raising our consciousness into higher dimensions.
Pause. Okay, so hi, I'm back. I just went to the bathroom. Thank you for waiting. I'm going to slow it down because she's talking faster here. We don't need to be on full 1.25. We'll do 1.15. I'll see if that's not too fast. Same couch, slightly different hairstyle. Same turtleneck. Love. We got a better look. Can you see? I'll just check. I'm in front of the couch again. So I guess a faded red, different lighting. There you go. The couch mystery continues. And so I will get the channel that we're watching, and I will drop also the link to this if you like. But I think this one's more of a watch and listen rather than I need to get this and watch it again.
Linear time no longer exists. It's more cyclical time. That's the indigenous people live by cyclical time, and also the universe is fractal. And so a lot of the measurements in some of the measurements in astrology are linear, based on linear time. We've got to pin down the exact birth time, and only when we do that can we make the birth chart work like clockwork, literally sort of forwards and backwards. We'd go back in the life, pinpoint big events. That gives us reliability to go forwards and anticipate what's coming up for the client. And I don't do client work anymore, by the way, before I get deluged with that. And so there is an very strong aspect of linear time built into astrology, but there are other measurements which are fractal. Things like progressions, a day for a year, things like solar arcs are really fractal as well. And the whole universe is fractal. We know that it operates on fractal principles, like a series of Russian dolls. And so astrology is going to change, I think, really radically. Don't ask me how, because sitting here currently, I have no clue as to how that's going to work, because I've worked with birth charts for so long. But I think we will definitely move to a different understanding of time that is more based on how the indigenous people understand it, and also in terms of how a new physics understands it, in terms of fractality. And that new physics hasn't been fully birthed yet, because we're still working with the old clunky laws of physics that we've had for eons of time that are actually just no longer correct for the increasing malleability of our reality going forwards. Does any of that make any sense?
Oh, completely. I mean, some of it makes me wonder even further, because it was only about a couple of 100 years ago, and even then it's probably a bit generous, maybe 150, with the advent of the telescope, that we started actually being able to see Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, because before that we only saw Saturn, and that was end of conversation for the most part. I do find it interesting that there are parallels between astrology and other fields of study that kind of held space potentially for those planets to be in our zeitgeist and our awareness anyway, but that's a whole nother podcast. We won't get into that just momentarily. But yeah, it's interesting to sort of think about that we had these planets were there, but we didn't have them in our awareness. I can't help but wonder how much influence they were having on us when they weren't in our awareness versus when they came into our awareness, and what
God damn it, I
that
was
meant
muted.
even as like an activation in our
Standard.
relationship to
I
that.
said-
To that. Is that like a rising in conscious? Like,
There's always one. I said I basically was throwing a bit of shade on his styling of the beanie with the headphones over the top, but then I said he's a very, very likable character, so I'm fine with it. Sidebar: we have cool Miss Shorty MS69, Miss Shorty 69 beanies of all different color combos on the merch store.
can you speak to that?
absolutely.
Because then
Yeah.
there's going to be the time thing, and then it's like,
Sorry,
whoa,
man.
like I can't believe we used to look at just those planets for astrology. I can't believe we used to look at linear time for astrology. Like it's
Yeah.
pretty interesting.
Absolutely. And, so many levels of answer to that. That's very interesting because, yes, of course, we need stronger telescopes to go further out. But my belief is it's only when our consciousness is raised to a sufficient level that we are ready to integrate the new mythology, if you like, the new planets and their meaning. And, for instance, in ancient times, they could only see as far as Saturn. That's as far as the naked eye can see. And that's pretty much still true today without any other equipment. And so Saturn became the planet linked to boundaries and edges and walls and separations, etc. But when we discovered, for instance, Uranus in the 1780s, that was also a time of enormous revolution. That was, during that time, the late 1700s, you were getting into the American Revolution, the French Revolution, etc. It was revolution across much of Europe. So we were getting into very revolutionary times as that archetype was discovered. And then, we discovered Neptune a little bit later, and that was when photography was birthed, and film and video, and the spiritual movement, etc. Then 1930, Pluto was discovered, and that was linked to depth psychology. And sadly, the atom bomb and things like that, so it was very destructive. But it's only when these planets are discovered that they seem to play out in our consciousness and in society in a much bigger way. They become integrated with us. And that's why I get very excited about the dwarf planets, because they are beyond the orbit of Pluto largely. And they were only discovered really around the turn of the century, and they're all being discovered all the time, of course. But that was the really beginning of the discovering the TNOs, the trans-Neptune objects, the Kuiper Belt objects. But it's fascinating, Amrit, because it is when Pluto is in Aquarius, which it entered fully in November 2024, will stay there till January 2044. That is usually the time that we go much deeper into the cosmos, partly because we've got better equipment, but it's also a time of consciousness expansion. So again, Pluto hasn't been in Aquarius since 1798, because it's got a 248-year cycle. And if you go back to the previous cycle in the 1500s, that was Galileo and Kepler and all that, those brilliant, astronomers, astrologers, because it was all one study at that time. So you get these jumps in going deeper into the cosmos, but also we so often think of astrology as an out there. We have to keep remembering it's an in here. The further out there you go, the deeper in here you're going as well. And, we so often forget that.
I love that.
I think what we're going through from now on is not a linear progression. It's an expanded awareness that will go in leaps. And that's really what I'm seeing so clearly in the shift of energy as we get into 2026. And in fact, it started this month. And of course, evolution doesn't operate to calendar months neatly, we're now into January the 1st and there's going to be a change. Evolution doesn't, the divine intelligence doesn't work that way. And, but it's in fact, actually, I think it was when you were recently talking to Lee Harris that he was talking about future energy being pulled into the now. And that's absolutely what I just said in the last update, that the new energy, the new consciousness, I believe is beginning this month. We're right in it. We're right in it, in this crucible of change. And that's why it's quite tiring in terms of lack of sleep, but it's also very exciting, because this is what we've built towards, I think, for many lifetimes. And it's just the beginning. I really want to emphasize that's just the very, very beginning
Shelley.
of first tip of the first wave of this new consciousness. But many of us, I think, are sensing it and feeling it.
I mean, many people, we started with time as accelerating, and I think when you say this is just the tip, like our relationship with time, I'm sure we're going to acclimatize to it. It's not just like literally a year is going to feel like...
Not even sorry. We know. We know. I'm going back because that's what she said emote still in the chat? I don't think it is. God damn it. There's only so many we can do. Oh, that's too funny. Okay, play.
I mean, many people, we started with time as accelerating, and I think when you say this is just the tip, like our relationship with time, I'm sure we're going to acclimatize to it. It's not just like literally a year is going to feel like a day, because it's literally starting to feel a bit like that.
Pause. You know what we've got to do. Man, you can't be doing that. That's crazy. It's crazy. Look at his face. He knows what he did. He knows what he did. I snored. It's been a stressful few months, year, lifetime. Wait. Arca! Hey, Arca. Chinese Zodiac says I'm a cock. Why am I not surprised? Wait, we're going again. Look at their faces. Somebody screenshot that. I've been so serious for so long.
Accelerating, and I think when you say this is just the tip, like our relationship with time, I'm sure we're going to acclimatize to it. It's not just like literally a year is going to feel like a day, because it's literally starting to feel a bit like that. And I couldn't help but reflect on like even just certain things you said. There's like some things that people have said to me that like some people are starting to notice their relationship with memory is shifting. People used to be able to remember a linear sequence of events quite easily. And now when they go to remember stuff, it's like, oh, it's all very patchy and scattered. And it's like they've lost linearness to memory. And it does make me wonder about this linearness of time that we're discussing here, and potentially where it all heads. I mean, it's quite fascinating to contemplate. It's speculation, but it's fascinating nonetheless. You have said though, with some awareness, that we are in the middle. Like you said, we're just getting going, but it seems like when I tune in, we're in a turning point, which is quite a significant turning point, like a rather large bend, not just like, oh yeah, next week or next month sort of thing overall. You've used the word ignition points. Like I'm seeing them as little micro ignition points to sort of help, us turn the corner, relatively to the major turning arc that we've got. I mean, there's a lot of things we could comment on, but it's pretty interesting that at this particular moment in time, one of the ignition points, you see 3i Atlas as being one of these key ignition factors that is coming through at this time. Also, 6 other comets. I don't even know if we want to talk about them, but let's start with 3i Atlas.
Yeah, it's really interesting, Emrit, because, I've been...
Sorry, Pam, Gregory. Apologies for misnaming you for the entire first half of the live stream, Pam. This Pam. Gregory. Hope says, edible cart going around. Anyone? Good God, imagine me having an edible. Like, I don't think I can. I don't think that's a good idea.
Sort of banging on about, how
See?
all of these cycles are converging. If we look at very large cycles, 12,000 year cycles, we're moving through the galactic current sheet only every 12,000 years, give or take 500. It's the end of the descending cycle of the yugas. The end of the Kali Yuga, the age of darkness, was supposed to be the turning point for that was March 21st this year, 2025. That we're into sort of smaller cycles like the solar cycles. We're at the peak of solar cycle 25, where obviously it's very clear that all the outer planets are changing sign literally within an 18-month period between November 2024, when Pluto entered Aquarius fully, and the end of April 2026, when Uranus enters Gemini. And that's an incredibly short period of time, 18 months, for all of the outer planets to be changing sign, largely from water and earth into air and fire. So you've got that layer of information, and I've talked about this in many, many videos, layering of information, and ending of cycles and beginning of new cycles. And you've also got, if you bring in the dwarf planets as well, you've got some really powerful geometry happening with the dwarf planets that isn't simply about us transforming. It's about a complete change of state, a change of biology. If I look at the mythology of Sedna, I've talked about the myth, and I'm sure you're familiar with it, that Sedna to make it really quick, had an inappropriate marriage. She begged her father to come and rescue her. He came in a kayak. They were both in the kayak and set off. A huge storm blew up. In order to save himself, his father threw Sedna out of the kayak. She tried to cling on with her fingers, so he chopped her fingers off to save himself. So, father and patriarchy do not come well out of this, but her fingers, I mean, she transmuted, she floated down to the icy Arctic deep and transmuted into a sea goddess, but her fingers became beautiful new sea creatures of seals and whales that are very high dimensional. They're said to be 15th dimensional, are helping us in this shift. So it wasn't just a linear, tree dies, falls in a wood, rots down to make new earth, new life forms. It doesn't have that linearity. It has a much more quantum jump of change of state, change of biology. And so that's why I think this is so powerful too, but also other factors. I mean, I had a wonderful conversation some time ago with Hope Fitzgerald, who you may know, who downloaded the Infinity Loop. And as she said, she and I were in cahoots way back in Lionsgate, August the 8th, 2024, when she was instructed by Merlin and Lord Yeshua, because she's a brilliant dowser, she's very psychic, she runs meditation groups, she does amazing work, she's a healer, to take a group up to Mount Shasta at Lionsgate on that morning at dawn, which she did. And she was told that she would be downloaded what had to appear, and this incredible sword of Excalibur psychically appeared before her, and she was told to pierce the film with this sword. I'm getting so goosebumpy now, which she did, and afterwards Merlin and Lord Yeshua told her that she'd exceeded all expectations, and she'd pierced the film, and that tear would continue to tear. For me, and I think for Hope Fitzgerald, that meant that was the beginning of leaving the tram tracks, of the predictability of the hamster wheel, of the old ways of doing things. I think that was the beginning of the tear in whatever we have felt has held us in this very limited, constricted 3D life. And I think that was absolutely right on in terms of the unraveling of what has now brought us to this place. Am I making sense here, Amrit?
You are.
So,
It's
this is not what we're moving into. Isn't just regular end of one year, beginning of another. It's a whole, and I could talk for hours and hours about this.
Yeah, I mean, some part of me
very
wants to go, I wonder if they wouldn't just shut down a species and just start again when there's this many cycles ending by the sounds of Touch wood. I shouldn't laugh, sorry.
The extinction of some and the, rediscovery of old species, but birth of new. It's a evolutionary leap, I think we're into. But when I looked at all of these factors, and I've got a long video called Convergences and Game Changers that I did, I don't know, about a year ago when I was seeing all of this, convergences and game changers. I was looking at all of this, the end of cycles, and bringing in other people who were talking about this same period in time, whether it was David Clements, who you know, or wonderful Kelly Kolodny, or Nancy Rebecca, or Ann Tucker, or all these wonderful people in their particular Jude Caravan, cosmologist, in their particular discipline, lens, perspective. They were all talking about this same period in time, and that was thrilling for me, because it was kind of validation of what I was seeing astrologically. So we're adding in bits of the jigsaw, and I was, this is so exciting, because all of these very clever, gifted people who don't necessarily understand astrology are seeing what I'm seeing, but there's still another piece missing. There's still another catalyst to add into the mix, because the energy is so different from the density of 2025 into this kind of leap into 2026 and its energy, and
Isn't
off
she
we
so
go,
cute?
particularly from end of April,
I love
May
her.
time, boom, it really is go time then. And then 1st of July, 3i Atlas was discovered by the observatory in Chile called the Atlas Observatory. So I thought, is this the catalyst? Is this a game changer? And with all that unfolded with 3i Atlas, and people are talking about it from a very scientific, data-driven point of view, like wonderful brilliant geophysicist Stephen Burns. Other people are actually channeling 3i Atlas that I'm in contact with. I've had some experiences myself with it, and I know many, many people have. And there's a general kind of, again, convergence of experience, I would say, around a kind of bliss, serenity, just a feeling of expanded, spacious timelessness and love. That seems to be the general overall feeling that people are reporting back. And as I say, I had my own particular bright green experience with it, I believe. So, it's very exciting. And Dr. David Clements said that at the very beginning of December, we would start to feel the very beginning of the first tip of the first wave of this new consciousness that was going to come in. And when I was talking to him in the last recorded conversation, I said, do you have any other information? Because then it was, I think, mid-November at that point. And I said, do you have any other information about when that might be starting? And he said, my team are telling me it's the 4th. I said, well, that's a full supermoon. That's a karmic choice point for humanity.
So tonight,
it's a huge mutable grand cross exactly on the nodal axis. That's about a karmic choice point for humanity. And
sorry, Pam, Gregory McGregor. Fuck's sake, Lisa. Shelley says, thanks, Google. There is an entire discipline called astrometeorology. That's pretty cool. Is that about barometric pressure and astrology? He is very cute, isn't he? Amir, what's his name? Amir. Amiru, I think his name is. He is cute. He is cute.
And he indeed, I know, because he was talking about it in his last live stream, had very strong experiences on the 4th of this expanded sense of serenity and bliss. So we are into game-changing territory, I would say. So what's coming up at the solstice is not a regular Capricorn solstice, I would say, by any means. I think we are right in this crucible of a shift of consciousness, and we're just at the very, 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 very beginning. We're not leaping into utopia in January. Please don't think that.
No.
But I think we will. Oh, okay, so goosebumpy now. I think we will look back on December 2025 and say, my goodness, history books will be written, if we're still writing books at that point. History books will be written about December 2025 as being the tipping point, the very first entry point into a new consciousness, a new human, and a very different future for humanity. I feel that very profoundly. And people may say, well, what about the wars and the poverty and the misery and the horrors are going on out there? absolute
Mm.
horrors. And I'm very well aware of it. And that's partly why I started up about 2 years ago a nightly meditation, 7 p.m. UK time, free 15 minutes. I ask people to set a clear intention for their highest good of all, highest good for the earth. And, all the information's on the meditation section of my website. But thousands of people are joining in with that in order to raise consciousness and go beyond ever being able to contemplate having wars or people who are hungry or people who are living in poverty. It will not be possible if we raise our consciousness enough. It's just a non-starter. So that's my contribution. If I can't join an aid convoy to deliver food on the ground to those terrible war-torn places, because I don't know how I begin to do that, I can do this. And thousands of people across the world, hundreds of thousands, can do this for free every day, every night. And it's not just me doing it, loads of people organizing meditations all over the world. But I believe, and Lee Harris did confirm to me, that is making a difference that will be measured in the future, will be looked back on and measured. And, I'm not celebrating myself, as I say, loads of people. Lynn McTaggart's doing brilliant work with this. But this is how, for free, without going anywhere, we can help to raise the consciousness to get beyond the wars and the horrors and the starvation and the awfulness.
Yes. Now, I just Googled her website, and if you type in pamgregory.com, it will get you there. But the actual URL, is that what it's still called? Is I'll drop it into chat now. thenextstep.uk.com, and that's her website. So that's into chat now, because that's where she holds her mindful meditation stuff every night, 7 p.m. ish UK, which I think Vixie said was about 2 p.m. Eastern in the Americas.
Together, yeah,
Really
it's
feel that in my bones. That's what I can personally do.
Inspired soul human beings, I wanted to take a moment to thank all of you that are subscribed to this podcast. Everything you see around here, Touchwood, is powered and empowered by your subscription to.
We'll scoot through this. Because we ain't got no grift.
Palm Burns, just before I was speaking to you today, he had this really trippy insight to share with me, which was while it was 3 Atlases just moved into the constellation of Leo, while it was in Virgo, it was noted, and prior, it was like there was elements of green that it was exhibiting, and as it's moved into Leo, it started to exhibit yellow.
Yeah, gold. And
I'm like,
it's
like, I associate Virgo with green and I associate Leo with yellow. And he's like, yeah, so does the rest of the world, Amrit. I'm like, you want to riddle me that this is what's going on here? And he's like,
pause. I love their nerd enthusiasm. Then I want to go. I want to think maybe they're both neurodivergent, right? But listen to this, what they're saying about 3i Atlas. Remember how I said that I believe it's a sentient craft. It's not a comet. It's not an inanimate object, in my opinion. But listen to this.
It's like
elements of green that it was. 3 Atlases just moved into the constellation of Leo. While it was in Virgo, it was noted, and prior, it was like there was elements of green that it was exhibiting, and as it's moved into Leo, it started to exhibit yellow.
Yeah, gold. And
I'm like,
it's
like, I associate Virgo with green and I associate Leo with yellow. And he's like, yeah, so does the rest of the world, Amrit. I'm like, you want to riddle me that this is what's going on here? And he's like, no one knows, but I'm just telling you what we see. And I was like, thanks for being so grounded, bro. But I want to know more. It's fascinating.
Yeah, you think 3 Atlas may have a sense of humor.
Look at him. He loves it.
I don't know. I mean, Stefan is the man to follow on the data.
If it's got a sense of humor, it's got a Sagittarian sense of humor. Is what I'm picking up.
That's where it came from, didn't it? That was the direction it came from.
Oh, really? There we go. That old timer kind of. Yeah, there we go. Well, let's if you will allow me to dive in, I want to also check in. Let's go April 2026. I know there's a few things happening prior to that, but I think there is a point here because this is also roughly when 3 Atlas moves past, some of the major planets in, it's done the majority of what it's going to do here. And then when it comes to April 2026, we're in this point now where you've mentioned this earlier in today's podcast. All of the outer planets have comfortably switched. They do this retrograde thing, but then they've comfortably switched from earth and water into air and fire. Now, there's two questions here for two sets of people, because some people are going to be represented by earth and water, and some people are going to be more air and fire. As we're making this shift, does everybody that's earth and water, that's currently earth and water and having a grand old time in earth and water, are we out of sorts when we get to this air and fire time? And what happens to the air and fire people when they come into air and fire? Because everybody's got different charts. They should probably go to your website to go get the charts. That's probably a really helpful thing to start with. But when you start to see air and fire, how does it impact different? What do you see happening at this particular point? Because it's a significant shift collectively, but then also personally, everybody's going to feel it slightly differently, right? Depending on their elemental makeup.
Yeah, I think for air and fire dominant people, this will be even more accelerated than for the kind of more watery, earthy people. So it would be very important. They'll be like Tigger in a way,
bouncing up and down on
Look at
stage.
him. He's
Here
so
we go.
impressive. Here's what I noticed was I'm watching him. I know he's a beautiful smile, his beautiful teeth, beautiful personality. Looks don't matter, but it helps. His white microphone, man. If I had a white microphone, I have to wipe my keyboard down all the time because of the makeup, because I put my hand on my face all the time, and then I touch the keyboard and the mouse. This white microphone would not survive at Camp Shorty.
And it'll be full of ideas and experimentation and lots of new stuff. So it'll be most important for them to be grounded, to really focus on grounding, bare feet on the earth if the climate allows, if they don't live in England, to really connect with the earth, because it's going to be very revved up. And for some people, that may be too revved up. It may be destabilizing mentally for some people, but it's also more to do with the degree points, because actually the unique configuration that I've talked about a lot in my videos that we have never had before. This is a unit. That's the other piece of the puzzle. This unique configuration, which is a trine between Pluto and Uranus, and at the midpoint, you've got Saturn and Neptune at 0 of Aries. 0 of Aries, 20th of February next year.
That's never happened before?
That particular configuration, no astrologer
That
has
shape.
been able to. That particular configuration and the Saturn-Neptune conjunction at 0. That's last happened in 4,361 BC, almost 6,000 years ago. Credit to my good friend Heather Ensworth for discovering that in her research.
Oh, she's so
That's
amazing.
crazy.
I love it. A very good friend of mine. So, even that part of it has not happened for almost 6,000 years. And that was the beginning of, the Neolithic age and people coming together. It was the beginning of society, actually, social structure, beginning of the development of writing, astrology, shamanism, sacred sites started to be built kind of over that period. So there's a sense of not only society, but perhaps a sense of divinity coming in. Shamanism and astrology. So that hasn't, just that one part of it has not happened for almost 6,000 years. But this configuration, which is going to be exact next year in July, that we believe is completely unique in history. And so we're building to that exactitude, but it's operational now.
His concentrated
And so
face.
it more depends, coming back to your question, it isn't so much just the elemental emphasis or dominance in a person's chart. It's whether they have any planets or aspects between about 0 and 4 degrees of virtually any sign.
Virtually any sign.
Because Pluto, Uranus, Saturn, Neptune are all in different, they're in cardinal, they're in...
I wish I kind of knew more about this, like I understood more about this. I definitely will do some more research because I want to know what this means a little bit more.
Fixed. Do you get
They'll be
there?
making an aspect. You're guaranteed an aspect. You're guaranteed an aspect.
Whatever it is, you're guaranteed an aspect.
I feel like it's Oprah Winfrey time. Everybody's getting one.
Go home with a present. So, because Aries is cardinality, Pluto's in Aquarius, which is fixity, and Uranus at the end of April will move into Gemini, which is mutability. So you've got all the different modes there. So if you've got any planet or angle between 0 and 4 degrees of any sign, you're going to be activated. And that is almost more important than the elemental dominance. But in general, if you're already air and fire, you are going to be jet propelled really from late April onwards. So it's going to be very exciting, but be grounded, meditate more, connect to the earth more, be in nature more, that kind of thing. Have a daily practice where you can come back and feel that your energy is kind of just, decompressing, because it's going to get very, very whizzy. And we've got very little in, even moving forwards. I mean, at the moment, we've got Jupiter on Cancer. Even that moves into fire in July. July is there's so many peak points. So February, you've got the Saturn-Neptune conjunction, hasn't happened for almost 6,000 years. Then you've got end of April, Uranus moving into Gemini. Then you've got end of May, you've got Uranus coming conjunct exactly to Sedna. That's going to be another ignition point, I think, for consciousness. Then June, you've got Uranus square the nodes. I think that's going to be mass awakening, right? For consciousness, a lot of truth coming out. July is this absolute kind of bumper package crescendo of so many exact aspects. The nodes changing signs. It's a gift that keeps on giving, really, through 2026, in terms of extraordinary happenings astrologically that are all very concentrated in time. But I do think we're going to have a series of waves of new consciousness coming in, and waves of mass awakening to a higher and more people to a higher level of consciousness.
Earth and water, how are they to navigate this time?
Everybody will be activated, but for them it may be a slightly easier ride because they have that kind of gravity, almost that
a bit more balanced, but calling forward into
absolutely, that cools down or slows down the air and fire. So it might be a slightly easier ride. Not to say it will be difficult for the air and fire people. It'll be super exciting, and it's almost a sense, Amarit. This is a funny thing for me to say, because I am a woman of a certain age, but I think my life is just beginning.
Same.
My real life. And I think everybody to some degree will feel that.
Absolutely. This is when I was watching this yesterday, this is what resonated with me, is that I feel like my, excuse me, oh my God, I'm clearing my throat like literally every 14 seconds. I'm not sure. Maybe I need cheese. God damn. The last 4 months, but even more so in the last probably month, I have felt another rebirth. I feel very similar to how I felt when I realized I was autistic. So that was 2019. I used to refer to that as my birth, my rebirth, when I was born into myself properly. And I feel very much like that. Excuse me, sorry. Right now. And I remember in the last video where Pam Gregory spoke about the month of December being that this month we've just had, the culmination and the kind of the drawing together, or the building towards the catalyst that is right now, the 3rd into the 4th of that wolf moon and that super moon, and so this absolutely resonated with me. I don't know how you all have been feeling, but hopefully together we can be reborn into love and light, truth, awakening, and all of this that the fire horse year seems to be going to bring. Perhaps a fiery, rocky ride, but worth it, because from fire comes birth and regeneration. I love it.
That I'm going so good. That our real lives are just beginning.
I was tempted to ask you today about, because we did an episode like this 12 months ago when we talked about what was coming up in 2025, and it was a very different take in 2026, very different flavor. But interestingly, I've noticed you haven't aged a day. You've literally experienced the whole year as literally 3 weeks. I didn't have any of these grey beards. I feel like I've aged quite a few years in this span. But anyway, one of the things you mentioned was the word mutable. And I think it was just something that was in the back of my head coming in today, because I know yeah, I mean, there's a whole part of your mission statement that I believe is to impart astrological knowledge onto the next generation. So can you bring us in a little bit? Just a quick short masterclass here on mutable, cardinal, fixed. What are you actually talking about when you're
This is
talking about
helpful.
mutable, cardinal, fixed, please?
Right. Okay. So the zodiac divides into those modalities. So cardinal signs are Aries, Cancer, Libra, Capricorn, and they tend to be very good at initiating. They're kind of entrepreneurial. They're very good in leadership roles very often. They're very good at self-starting. They're good people to get things off the ground, as it
And
were.
so if we have four seasons in a year, this is the first segment of that season. Is that usually what's happening as well?
No, not really, because I mean, you've got cardinality, you've got Aries happening in spring, northern hemisphere, you've got Cancer kind of June, July time, and then you've got Libra, September, October time, and then you've got Capricorn right at the the turn of the year. So they're spread equally through the year. And then you've got the fixed modalities, which are Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, Aquarius. They are very good at holding the course. They have a kind of tenacity, a determination, a willpower. I'm not going to give in until I get to the end of that. They're very focused people, whereas the cardinal people tend to be very good at starting things. The fixity elements can really hold the course till you get to the very end.
Yeah, hi, that's me.
So they have a
Starting, yes.
steadiness, they
Finishing,
have a productivity. So that would be what I'd say
Same,
about them.
Lainey, same,
Mutability.
same.
They are more adaptable. They're often more creative. They're more. So you've got Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, Pisces. They're more adaptable, they're more flexible, they're more chameleon-like, they can see things from other people's points of view. So they can flow. They're very good at adapting to different circumstances. They're very good at pouring oil on troubled waters because they can see things, as I say, from everybody else's point of view. And to some extent, perhaps be led by other people's points of view, particularly Pisces. So, but they bring in a kind of, they can be very good diplomats, I think. That's true of Libra too. But because of this fluidity and inclusivity, they want to bring everybody in, as it were. That's my sense of the mutable signs, but the highly creative as well, highly creative. And so, but they have a divergent energy, which sometimes adds to their creativity, but often it makes it harder to focus. The fixity signs are very good at focus. And the cardinal people are pretty good to get the show off the road as well. So that's, terribly broad strokes, what we're looking at.
I think maybe I didn't phrase my question correctly, because it did seem like the way you responded. So let's just take spring, for example. You start with Aries, you move, and so it's cardinal, fixed, mutable. You're doing that through each season,
cardinal,
though.
Fixed, mutable. Cardinal, fixed.
Yeah. Cardinal, fixed, mutable, which I think is really helpful to really grok, because it gives you this idea of like the commencement nature of each season has a cardinal sign, and then the heart of the season has its fixed sign, and then mutable is like, it's mature enough to understand that it's going to have to end and move into the next sign and give way as well. So there's like an honoring of what was, but also moving into what's next. It's like this handover pattern energy with the mutable signs.
Because, springtime, northern hemispheres, Aries, Taurus, Gemini. And then you're, into Cancer, Leo, Virgo. So that's always the repeating pattern. Cardinal, fixed, mutable.
Yeah, very helpful. Thank you for that. I think it helps us better understand the nature of each of the signs and, what their actual temperament is like behind the scenes. Talking about temperament, I know, like, I sometimes I wonder if I watch your channel just to hear the myths or actually understand the astrology, because the myths are fascinating.
So
some of
cute.
them are a bit brutal. Actually, how many? I think most of them. Anyway, if there's a myth that's more present for you at this particular moment in time than others that's speaking to the nature of this time, I mean, you don't have to pick just one. If there's a couple, I'm all ears. I told you I love you, myths. But is there a myth that's more present now for you than others? And would you be?
Yeah, I think I choose two, actually, and they're in aspect to each other, in pretty much exact geometry to each other.
Sounds like it's got its own myth brewing. Sorry, go on. Yeah.
Absolutely. And they are Sedna, who I've just mentioned, that has she has an 11,400 year cycle, and she's
Mm.
coming to her closest point to the Earth in 2076, which isn't that long if you feel, you've got a 11,400 year cycle. And also Haumea. They are both to do with rebirth and regeneration. And just to remind people, Haumea is linked to the Hawaiian goddess of fertility. She could birth babies from all over her body. She has a very strong regenerative theme. She could turn herself from an old crone to a young maiden, which we're all looking forward to. So they both have this strong sense of regeneration and rebirth. And they're in very prominent geometry to the traditional bread and butter planets that we're all very familiar with in this very unique configuration that I've been talking about. And so for me, they are speaking very loudly indeed about New Earth. So let me take Haumea first. Haumea, this
Yes.
regenerative principle. I mean, for me, very personally, the week she moved into Scorpio, and Scorpio is one of the signs linked to medicine, and because of the kind of pointy sting in the tail, it's often linked to injectability. That's when I had my own stem cells injected into my knee. I was in absolute howling agony and needed a total knee replacement because I had bone-on-bone grade 4 arthritis and couldn't walk across a room. And I had an injection with my own blood plasma. And the week that Haumea went into Scorpio, and it was like a miracle. The next day I could walk over an hour, no sticks, no support, no nothing, no pain since then. And that was the end of 2022. So stem cell medicine, I think, is going to be really big. I had my personal experience that was very powerful. Stem cell medicine, I think, is going to be huge. Reverse aging, we're getting a lot of technologies now around reversing aging, increasing lifespan, and I think they will grow and grow as we get into this next year. Age, just because of the dissolution of linear time, age will just not be a big deal. Sedna, I've described this change of biology, and
Arca, cheers, streamer, Jack and Coke time. Well, giddy up, bottoms up. Cheers.
literally think we are going through this change in biology. Our 24th chromosome is being reactivated now, that had been spliced together. We'd lost a chromosome about 200,000 years ago. Greg Braden talks about this at length. Chromosome 2 and chromosome 7 were spliced together. That 24th chromosome, which is linked to our multidimensionality, which was removed by whom we don't know why, but it did make our neural networks grow to make us more human, so we could develop language more fully, but we lost that gift of multidimensionality largely. That's now coming back online. That's being activated right now. Also, our bodies are supposedly becoming more crystalline as we shift towards becoming the light body. And I had a vision of that, as you know, Amrit, in one of my dreams in March 2023, clear as day, pin sharp, third eye vision of being the light body, which is a promise for us all. So that's where we're moving to biologically. So I feel those archetypes very strongly. And I also think the myth of Sedna in other ways is very instructive for us.
Pause. Remember we did that show on archetypes? I think probably we could delve deeper into it, but if you're interested, it's in the Psychology Corner playlist. This one will go into the History Mystery playlist, I think, or maybe it's gone in Health as well. Can't remember. It's in a playlist. Yikes. Life Artist, hi. You must have known that I paused and was able to say hi. Hi. Life Artist, if you if you have time, if and when you have time, go back and watch the rest of this if you haven't already been lurking, because it's been a really beautiful, positive, uplifting, exciting stream. I think it's been a nice change of energy, pun intended, after everything, the heaviness of what we've been covering lately.
Because she wanted to hold on for security to the kayak. It's like the old law of wing walking. You don't let go of what you're hanging on to till you're hanging on to something else. Our instinct is to hang on.
Yeah.
Old forms of security because it's all we know and it's the tangible. But she had no choice. She had to let go of the old forms of security, the tangible, in order to transmute into a beautiful sea goddess and take on a higher form, a higher consciousness, a higher form, and birth new sea creatures, which are also very high dimensional. So I think as we move through 2026, we also are going to be
it's the same old shorty no matter what happens. unmute. And we're dual streaming or try streaming now. We've always been on YouTube, well, not always, but for the longest time, YouTube and X, Twitter. But from now on, given all of the dramas we've been having, we're going live on Kick also. Yeah, fuck my life, Simi. So we played Shine. Sorry, I'm catching up, Life Artist. We played Shine for our sort of 2-hour music break in between the first video and the second video, and everybody who has Kick went over to Kick, and we're doing all the moving emojis while the song was playing. It was so much fun. I can't believe I didn't think of it sooner, but here we are. So back to
be called on in various ways
I'll go back
to
a little.
release
Hang on.
old forms of security, old forms of security, because it's
say it again.
all we know and it's the tangible. But she had no choice. She had to let go of the old forms of security, the tangible, in order to transmute into a beautiful sea goddess and take on a higher form, a higher consciousness, a higher form, and birth new sea creatures, which are also very high dimensional. So I think as we move through 2026, we also are going to be called on in various ways to release old forms of security. I think there may be some challenges in the financial markets as we move through next year. I can see 2 particular times that may occur. And we may actually want to move away from having any kind of permanent home, as we have, that being so important in our past. You've got to get a job to earn a good salary, to buy your own house, to get married, to have children. That's very much part of the paradigm. But I think that is shifting quite significantly as we move through 2026. And we'll want to have a much more fluid experience. We may want to live in community. We may want to travel much more. We may want to move around much more. Our experiences will start to become much more multi-dimensional as we move through 2026 and way beyond. Our forms of transport are going to change radically. Already, flying taxis, flying cars are prototyped. I think they're going to start to become more available. Single person flying transport is going to become more available, just beginning in 2026. So it's going to be a series of experiences rather than staying put, permanency, long-term kind of security, whether it's your home, whether it's your retirement fund, your savings. Our financial system is going to change, I think, very radically. So letting go of those old tangible.
Chat, have you been noticing my me? I'm covering it now. I realized that when I was on the other side and I was down low on the screen, my watermark was covering my face. Oh, I can't have that. So that's why I moved to the other side of the screen. But occasionally there's a little notice down the bottom under where I am, that says switch to 1.5x. I don't know if they do that or he does that on all of his videos, but is he saying she talks slowly? The shade.
Forms of security. I think that myth is going to speak very loudly to many of us beginning in 2026. And an ignition point for the jump in consciousness, I think, is going to be late May, when Uranus becomes exactly to the minute conjunct with Sedna. That's a real ignition point in consciousness.
Hey there, Inspired Souls. I'd love to get your...
We'll scoot through the ad because, But if you love his channel, Shelley has the link and she'll drop it in chat so you can subscribe. And Pam McGregor. God damn it.
With you and these amazing, incredible spaces and places all over the world. We'd love to hear from you and your interest. Please express it below. Yeah, there's, as you point earlier, there's so many ignition points. And I couldn't help but reflect on one of my favorite things about mythological stories is that there's always like an A to a Z, which is like when you first meet the story, it's like, oh, yep, there we go, A to Z. But then there's always when you start to unpack a mythological story, like you were sort of saying, like, she was hanging on to the edge of the boat and it's like the fingers and there's like a whole story just in the fingers and it's like totally tangents into like an even bigger portal of itself. And it's like, gotta love a good mythological share as well. While we're on the topic of that, actually, it was another question that I had in my mind, but I just wanted to ask a little bit around, if I could, because this is around Christmas time. there's just something in my awareness that, like, there's the birth of Jesus Christ in the manger. And every time you see, I don't know, like, for those that are tuning in as well, I invite you into this.
This
When
is
I
good.
speak to you of a nativity and I say, hey, picture a photo of the nativity scene, there is always the manger. There is always the sort of barn-shaped sort of object. There are always 3 wise men, right? And there's always a star at the top, right? And the 3 wise men followed a star to get there. I've just been reflecting on that recently. And, like, in certain, I don't want to sound like this, but in certain Christian circles, astrology is very like, annex that, you know? Whereas, I mean, 3 wise men followed a star to find their way to Jesus Christ. They had their own, there's a whole mythological story behind each of the gifts that they brought. But there's the following of a star there. Have you reflected upon that, Pat?
Yes, I mean, many astrologers believe it was actually a Jupiter-Saturn conjunction that was visible in the sky. That's what they believe. And remember that in ancient times, even the papacy had a royal astrologer. Even the papacy had its own astrologer. Every royal court in Europe had an astrologer.
Hey,
It was
Clay.
part of
Hey, Clay, did you get your project finished last night? Thanks for coming on in. We've had a lovely stream, but it's good to see you. I hope you got your music video 15 years after the deadline finished. Good to see you. We're talking about the year of the fire horse.
the mystery schools. Excuse me, it was one of the fundamental subjects, pillars of learning of the mystery schools. If you went to university, it was part of university learning in the Middle Ages. You couldn't be a doctor without understanding astrology and the 4 humors. It was all part of divinity. It was enmeshed with divinity. And it was really only Isaac Newton who came along and said, that the planets were too far away apart from the moon to have any gravitational impact, and therefore astrology was all tish-tosh.
Yeah, well, I'm going to
it's
call
all
bullshit
rubbish.
on that.
There was
I'm going to call bullshit on that because being Lainey, you're Cancer. We're very close to birthdays, I think, and maybe even Pammy, you can speak to Whitney's experience. But holy shit, every Clay, yeah, hi, same spirit animal sub. My sleep is. I am such a moon child. For the few nights in the lead up to the full moon and in the couple of nights after in the waning, I'm just yearning for that lunar cycle to carry on so that I can have some decent sleep. Love and light, Clay. The Chinese used to drown fire horse babies at birth. Yes. Is that true for Whitney? Yes. So anybody who says that the moon and I mean, I've worked in establishments where, trust me, bro, the clientele was particularly wild and rambunctious and just crazy, like lunatics. Get it? Over the full moon, the waxing and the waning, that sort of 5 or 7 nights. Yikes.
split, really, at that point. And it was also actually when Copernicus and Galileo were starting to develop their heliocentric theories and say that the sun was the center of the universe and not the Earth. And that was seen to be a kind of heresy, because they said in religion, the Earth had been the center of God's design, and you can't possibly say that the sun is the center. So that that split was really beginning even then. But
Pammy, just to you, I cannot recommend more highly the for Whitney. You can get them on Amazon. Extra strength sleep patches, which have they're just like you can put them anywhere on your body. Just one. There's 60 in a pack for, like, in Australian dollars, about $17, which is like what, about $13-12 US less. And they're melatonin, lavender. This is for everybody, but melatonin, lavender, a few other things. They're so effective. They're so good. You fall asleep more quickly. You have a more sound, deep sleep, less restless. And if you do happen to wake up to go to the bathroom in the night or for any reason, you fall back asleep almost immediately, and you wake up not feeling groggy. So helpful. I can't recommend them enough. So better than just melatonin, whatever, gummies or tablets. They're really beautiful. 10/10.
In ancient times, it was always very much part of divinity. Astrologers who've gone back in history and researched that say that was a Jupiter-Saturn conjunction. That was what was happening at that time. And then, of course, you have the Hopi who've talked about the legend of, in these end times that we're going through, actually beginning times, but also the end of the fourth world as they see it. They talked about this blue star that would appear in the sky, blue star Cucina. And some people now are saying, asking the question, is 3 Atlas actually what they were referring to? That came kind of out of the blue and has arrived, right on time. I can't answer that question. You'd have to talk to a Hopi indigenous person about that. But the timing,
we can surely make that happen around here. Touch wood, yes. Please continue.
The timing is very interesting, and the Hopi people saw that as really the entry into the fifth world. All of those wonderful myths. So yeah, but anyway, going back to your question, it was supposedly a Jupiter-Saturn conjunction.
What are the energies of Jupiter and Saturn? I mean, Jupiter's expansion. Saturn for me is quite like of this world, and I conflate it to discipline, but I'm probably leaving some of it out. I mean, is that expansion and discipline?
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely. Jupiter is expansion, and Saturn is discipline, structure, contraction. They have a very reliable 20-year cycle. They come together in conjunction every 20 years, very reliably. But
Like,
they
I
tend
dread
to
it.
stay in an element.
Sorry, Pam Gregory. I dread it. I'm like, I can tell when my sleep's getting worse and worse, and I try not to notice. I mean, I love the moon. It's my thing. I'm ruled by the moon, but I'm like, come on now. Let's get these next few nights over with. We've got this.
For almost 200 years. So this is another big shift. So for about 200 years, they were meeting in earth signs. They had their conjunctions in earth signs. That started to change at the end. It was the December solstice, 2020, and they met at 0 degrees of Aquarius. Think that we are gradually moving into the age of Aquarius. And so that was December 2020, and Pluto, of course, has now activated that hotspot of that Jupiter-Saturn conjunction. Jupiter-Saturn conjunctions, because they're kind of generational, they set up the social zeitgeist, the background, the socio-political background of that particular generation. So Jupiter tends to be the prevailing belief system, the socio-political structure, the economic structure for those times, for the next 20 years. But now it's entered air, and for about another, certainly another 150 years or so, it will be repeating those conjunctions in air. So again, we have this repetition of air. So what is air? Air is consciousness. Air is all out there, the ether, the cosmos, what we think.
I think folks are generally averse to pain. Those who aren't, I mean, masochists. I mean, each to their own. No kink shaming. I'm a big fan of allowing oneself or forcing oneself to sit in discomfort with regards to expanding and broadening our outside of our comfort zone, but not hard pain, not full-blown pain. No, thank you. No, thank you. No, thank you. Simi she looks particularly Sally, Jesse, Raphael right now in this dirty pause, but Simi picked it and you can't unsee it.
Think of as it's actually stuffed full of intelligence, intelligent plasma, supercharged plasma. And so that is really saying, along with Pluto and Aquarius.
Sorry, I won't keep pausing it, but Arca says she's saying a lot of words, but it seems like nonsense. I mean, a lot of this is new-ish to me, or I don't know the in-depthness of it all. But Lainey, who lives and breathes these concepts, says that everything she's been saying for the most part is bang on. Because there's a lot of assumed knowledge between these two, the interviewer and the interviewee, who is Pam Gregory, but they're also trying to break some stuff down. Like often foreign stuff sounds like nonsense or gobbledygook, you know. But I think you'll find there's some merit to a lot / all of it. But it's not everybody's cup of tea. That's all right.
Uranus going
Or wait, Arca, is it your Jack and Coke that's making it seem that way?
into Gemini, that is saying that we are going to learn an immense amount around consciousness, the cosmos and consciousness, how reality is formed, because we're forming it from the invisible in every moment, aren't we? We create from the invisible in every moment, but we just haven't been very aware of it.
Yeah, it's, I mean, even just reflecting on AI at that particular moment in the conversation is like, even if, you know, wherever it goes, which is a whole nother podcast in and of itself, but it is teaching us significant things about the nature of our own mind and how we compute and how we relate and what does it mean to be human? I mean, it brings up all of that, you know.
Because Aquarius can be extremely technological, of course. Extreme, and that can have its benefits, its upsides, you know, medical technology, healing technologies.
Lainey, make sure you've got your sage. Not being hyperbolic, Stranger Things is a little concerning, particularly this most recent season. I haven't watched any of them, but the circles I turn in these days, like there's a lot of just be careful, all of you watching Stranger Things, because there's some manufactured consent going on in the storytelling there, to do with Satanism and transhumanism and the whole bigger agenda of the supremacy issue we've been talking about on the channel in the last week or two. So just make sure you're properly protected in however you protect yourself. If you're whatever you use to create a protective barrier around your sense of self, that's my recommendation. If you're going to choose, if people are going to watch Stranger Things, I won't be going near any of the seasons. No, thank you.
It can have a shadow side of, you know, one shadow expression of Pluto and Aquarius literally is controlled by technology.
Yeah, and detachment and stuff like that. More if you get too further down that path. I want to keep us moving along through the year if we can. What happens? Aries, what is this normal that 7 or 8 bodies end up in one sign and like in Aries? Like, is that normal?
No.
I mean,
No,
what's going on here?
Because it is so rare to have Saturn and Neptune together in Aries.
Everyone joins the party with the parents. Is this what's going on?
Absolutely. They've come together in Aries in conjunction 17 times in the last 2,000 years.
There was a family reunion in Aries. Here we go.
But not at 0 of Aries, that degree of pure potentiality. And so, of
Still,
course,
having that much stacked up in one sign, I mean, means a lot.
Yeah, it's massive. It's absolutely massive. Because if we look at kind of March, April time, you know, if we look at the, there's a new moon the day before the Aries equinox, and the Aries equinox are as well. Of course, all of the planets are always moving. The inner planets, you know, the sun, etc., are moving through, because Venus and Mars are always orbiting pretty close to the sun. And of course, the moon has a very regular orbit as well. And you always get a new moon in Aries around about that time. So you get those planets moving through Aries altogether, but you don't get Saturn and Neptune joining the party. And so at that new moon, which is I think on the 19th of March, not only have you got the traditional planets, you've got the sun, the moon, I think you've got Venus, Mars in there, you've got Saturn and Neptune. If you add in Eris, dual planet Eris,
Can't believe that he loves it so
and
much.
Chiron, you've got 8. You've got 8 orbiting bodies in Aries. I mean, talk about go time.
He's like, oh my God.
Talk about go time.
Okay, go time. Where are we going to? Because there's a lot of go in Aries. I actually look at Aries like a spark plug as well. You just put it in and it's just got to send you somewhere. But like having this many spark plugs, where are we going? What's going on here?
Yeah,
because I imagine for some people tuning in without all the, I mean, it's a lot of fire. I mean, for some people that can spell war. Like, I don't want to introduce that frequency into this podcast, but let's ground a little bit. Like, that's a lot of fire.
It's a lot of fire, and there can be literally fires at that time. around the Earth. I mean, with Neptune went stationary direct just last week on the 10th of December, and we've seen massive flooding in big parts of the states. Three states in the US, massive flooding. I mean, devastating flooding. Yes, with all that Aries energy, yeah, absolutely, we may see wildfires that are really destructive. The more we can stay as humanity calm and peaceful, the more we will calm that possibility down. But I have to say, I do think the Earth will go through some very big changes next year and continuing, because she's going through her own rebirth. She's shedding millions of years of trauma that's been just compacted. And so she is definitely going through her own rebirth. So we can help her by staying calm and peaceful. So yes, war, absolutely. Is there a timeline for war? Absolutely. And if we keep putting our attention on it, it will continue. You give it your focus and attention in the quantum realm, that is food. You're feeding that war timeline. Will it continue? Yes, for as long as we give it our focus and attention. But that's not going to be the timeline I'm focused on or trying to help people focus on either. I think we have so much, I mean, Saturn, Neptune conjunct at the very first degree of the zodiac of pure potential. It's like a completely blank canvas. Okay, humanity, what are you going to create? All bets are off. What are you going to create? So if we can see that side of it, of creation, possibility, infinite possibility, rather than, oh my God, there's going to be war. There is war, and there will continue to be war until we really elevate our consciousness. But let's use it for something amazing, because it's not going to come around again. This is a one-hit wonder. This is a one-hit time, that conjunction. It's not going to repeat again. Maybe for another 6,000 years. I don't know. I haven't looked that far ahead. So we mustn't, this is such I really feel so profoundly, and that's why I'm working so hard at the moment, that it's such a massive opportunity for humanity to really create something amazing for our world. What kind of an abundant, loving, compassionate, peaceful world could we create with that, rather than feeding a lower timeline? Acknowledging that still continues for a while.
I can't believe I'm going to ask my next question by starting with an apology for the question, but I think if it's okay, I'd like to take the podcast here. Feel free if you don't want to talk about it. I mean, because you're talking about the importance of...
Pause. Hope says, unfortunately, many don't know the definition of consciousness. I mean, it's been drummed out of us. It's been conditioned out of us. The schooling, the 9 to 5, or the endless drudgery of work, and being forever debt slaves to striving for the things. We are born. We are put into systems and institutions, indoctrinated. Our uniqueness hammered out of us, learning to conform, and then we strive for whatever, whether that be skill sets, training, education, tertiary education, so that we can step into the workforce, so that we can strive to borrow money, to make money, to borrow money, to work until we've paid off our debt, which for many and most doesn't happen. While we're doing that adult shit, we diligently, most people have children, raise children, bring them into that same system. At night, we watch television, we watch entertainment, which dumbs the senses, which suppresses our awareness of consciousness. We have fluoride in the water. We eat shitty food. They're poisoning us in the air. They're poisoning us in the food, in our water. So yeah, most of us, that's why those of us who are aware of consciousness, and it's never too late, we are the anomalies.
Attention and where you place
By
that
design.
attention. And just to sort of allow it to grok for people really deeply, I mean, you had a cancer scare earlier this year, and you said you had to get a grip, or you'd actually start creating the wrong timeline. I mean,
yeah,
and you did spin out for a couple of days there.
I did.
And there was then that moment of
love
like,
it,
oh, I need to
Clay.
get a grip. Can you talk us through, like, as comfortable
Yeah,
as you're
yeah.
willing to get us?
I've
That
been,
attention placement
Hi,
thing is a
son.
whole thing
Good to
here
see
that
you.
you went through really personally, touch wood.
yeah, I did. It was I just had a regular dental checkup, which I have every year, and I got, very low maintenance teeth. Thank goodness. I usually bounce in and bounce out in about 10 minutes. And, hi, great to see you, and no problem. And she said I'm very concerned about these white patches on the roof of your mouth. And obviously I can't see inside my mouth. I can't put a mobile phone in there or a mirror. And I said, well, I've got cancer. Far too pure a life. She said, well, it's one of the, the classic signs, and you've got 3 patches in total, and I'm going to refer you. I'm going to send you on, her words were, I'm going to send you on urgent referral to an oncologist at the local hospital, the main hospital. And I was just, my head spinning, and I wasn't thinking that well. And I said, well, can't I come back in sort of 3 or 6 months and you can see if it's grown or not? I wasn't thinking that well. And she said, well, no, it's too close to your brain and your lymph nodes. And by then I am really, really, really spinning. So she said,
She's saying all the right things.
Sorry, Pam Gregory. Arca, is it a channel that has 2.49 million subscribers? Is it the guy doing the gardening and the solar and the garden expansion and stuff? Love, I presume. Yes, it's sort of online with the conversation. Lovely. I love growing my own vegetables. This time round, I missed it, so I've got pretty flowers. But I've subscribed. Thank you for that recommendation. Love it.
So, I'll arrange a biopsy at the local hospital, and, off we go.
I'll drop
I
the
said,
link
well,
in the chat.
What's the treatment? What's going to happen? And she said, the oncologist will explain everything to you. And I just came out of that because I was actually going off to my neighbour's leaving party. She was going back to New Zealand. So I had to turn up to that with everybody, with fizzy drinks and sticky buns. And, I was just, my head was in a very different place.
Paradigm, yeah.
Yeah, and I did spin for a couple of days because I just thought this, it just can't be happening, because I know people who've had that and had biopsies and had treatment and, had a very, 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 very high.
Sorry, Pam. Fun fact, not fun at all. Fun fact about chemo. Mostly everyone that dies from cancer that's treated die from the destruction of their internal organs that chemo inflicts. So, not medical advice, but chemo is mustard gas, right? So, do your research if ever you or your loved one is diagnosed with cancer, because chemo and radiation therapy ain't the answer.
Time with it.
DSMO.
It's been hard to talk and eat and drink and etc. So I did spin for a couple of days, and then I actually thought, I have to get a grip of myself, because this is a personal test to walk my talk. It's a personal test because I'm always talking about your inner state of being is your absolutely top priority, and everything cascades from that. And if I don't get a grip on my focus, my attention, my state of being, I'm going to head straight down that timeline, because I am, through my fear, with lots of people in white coats and, very kind people, but, I am going to create that timeline, even if it doesn't currently exist. Even if it isn't cancer, I'm going to create it by going down that timeline, because there's going to be so much fear for me, because I'm not a person that normally likes to go down that kind of route. And so I did lots of things. I mean, I have an incredibly pure diet anyway. I haven't eaten meat for 50 years. I'm super, don't drink, blah, blah, blah. But I did other things as well. I got a hydrogenated water system installed, and, I did.
I'm going to pause her. In our next Health is Wealth stream, and we will do more of them, I didn't, and it was my bad. I dropped the ball. I fumbled. I didn't actually cover in any great depth, and I had planned to. I had plenty to talk about with red meat. Red meat is so important. So red meat is so important. If you can, you should eat red meat every day, a few times a week at least. Not pork, not necessarily chicken. Red meat, it's so important. gives you basically everything the human body needs. Not everything, but almost. So we'll go there another time. I just wanted to register my I disagree with that about what she said with her diet. I don't think a person who eats zero red meat can be properly healthy. Just my opinion.
Things, all kinds of extra things. And I went back to see her 3 months later. I think she was a bit cross with me for being such a rogue client. You know, I'd completely gone off piece to all of her advice. And she said, well, I have to say, I'm quite clear now this was nothing sinister because the original patches have disappeared. And so, you know, whatever it is, it's a kind of thing that moves around that some people have, but it's
Touch
not
wood.
anything sinister. But I truly believe that my getting a grip of my emotional state was pivotal.
Oh, sorry. Pork is delicious. Bacon, ham, pork. Parasites. Okay, so we didn't go into this in depth either. We'll do it in the next one. We'll do a meat health is wealth stream. Parasites are most prevalent in pork, and even with cooking, are almost impossible to eliminate, to kill. Ivermectin, fenbendazole, yes, and even baking soda, and fasting. Fasting allows your body to process or flush out parasites. You will have more mental clarity, energy, focus. Pork is delicious. Ham and bacon, delicious. Yeah, just even with high temperatures, do a little bit of research. There's things I'll never eat again. McDonald's, it's fine. I don't even like it. McDonald's is gross. It is gross. But I probably won't ever eat pork again, unfortunately. Just from what I understand about it now, I prefer my brain. I'm foggy enough, you know. I'm going to be doing everything I possibly can. And I've been fasting for between 18, 20 hours a day of late. And I feel amazing. I'm not even hungry. And also, spoiler alert, long-term shorties, I won't ever be buying government cheese ever again. I know.
Pivotal in creating a different timeline of health and vibrancy, and I'm not going to do that. I am absolutely not going to go that way. It was the same with my knee. I am absolutely not going to go that route of having a total knee replacement. I'm not going to do that. So, universe, I am expecting a miracle to give me a different option on that.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I can't believe you went there with thank you. Appreciate you so much, Pam. So glad you're well. Like, so glad you're well, honestly. I know I'm speaking for myself, but I'm also speaking for everybody else tuning into this podcast. We're so glad you're well. One of the guests I had on the podcast is his name's Darius J. Wright, and very fascinating young man. Actually lives here in Australia with me. And he talks about this construct that we're in, this particular construct, being like a fundamental like tenet of this.
Sorry, lovely people there. RE government cheese. So I don't. So here's my way of thinking. Right, I don't ever want to go to a doctor ever again. I don't have any financially. I never want to be in a position where I'm invalid, where I'm doing everything to maximize my healthy, wealthy future. If I live until I'm 80, let's say 85. I don't know. I want to be mentally and physically as agile as possible. And that comes from health. So I'm making big choices with my lifestyle now. Obviously I still vape, but I mean, we'll work on that. To do everything that I can with my own personal autonomy to set myself up for a healthy, happy, mentally well, physically well, and future. and so I'm actually kind of adulting with it. So I don't care that I love government cheese. I don't care that I love McDonald's. Um, I don't have anybody around me to care for me if my children aren't going. If I get Alzheimer's, like I'm on my own. So I'm feeling really amazing and empowered by the decisions I'm making. So excuse me for the throat clearing. I swear it's because there's no government cheese. Anyway, and there's so many things. If you didn't watch the Health is Wealth stream, go and have a watch. We'll do more of them because there is a way to. There are so many easy life choices, ways we can steer our own destiny that is healthy and happy. And if my rings will slide on my finger more easily, and my clothes fit better, and I feel better and more alive, boom, winning.
Particular construct is choice.
Yeah.
This particular construct has choice in it.
Good segue.
I'm very conscious I'm speaking to a long-time astrologer who also, I mean, very fortunately for the rest of us, stands on the shoulders of some really incredible giants in astrology as well. Choice seems to be a real rub when you come to approach from the outside looking into astrology, right? It's fated, it's destiny, it's all free will. Where does it? But I mean, let's just, in terms of like philosophical, let's just meet you in that moment if you can. Just do us the honor of just going a little bit further. There's that point where it's like, I need to get a grip. How do you know, or from Pam Gregory, your 2 cents on how is you getting a grip? How do you know it's not spiritual bypassing and that you're meant to surrender and just flow versus actually now's the time for me to assert? There's a point there where choice really kicks in and you meet yourself. How do you know which way to go at that particular point in time?
Well, I will always choose the best option. I'll always choose loving self. I'll always choose the best option. But also Chiron, for me, was being very activated at that time. So that could be a period of feeling, ill, wounded. And it can be a period of great healing, of mastery to some degree in healing. So you always have latitude. The way and I'm sure you've heard me say this, Amrit, but the way I see astrology charts, your birth chart is like a unique sheet of music, but you have latitude in how you play that sheet of music, or modeling clay, of particular colors, and you have latitude in how you form whatever you want with your life. So it gives you the pattern. The pattern is set for this incarnation. You can't change the pattern, but you can absolutely change the level of consciousness at which you live it. So you don't have to submit to the worst and the lowest choice. There is always a higher choice. There are always better instruments to play your music with. That's the best and most helpful analogy.
Oh, yes, thank you.
Yes,
Very helpful analogy. Hey there, inspired souls. As Pam has topic of analogies, you brought up Chiron. This is your fault now. I just want to jump in here with Chiron and just ask what's on my heart, if that's okay, for 2 secs. Wounded healer is something that gets bandied around really rather fast. And I don't know, I've started to form a bit of I'm not sure it's okay to, I mean, I think it's quite apt at what it does, and I wanted to get your 2 cents on this. Yeah, I mean, wounded healer Chiron, I totally get. But I can't help but reflect on the fact that he's a centaur. And you've got you've got a human, pretty cool. You've got a horse, maybe some would argue even cooler, but okay, pretty cool. But then you've got half a human, half a horse. Not sure what you meant to do with either of those, because, I mean, and then all of a sudden, Chiron, some sort of stitching healing energy, and you've got a centaur, which is mythological, can see futures past, is an incredible archer. For me, the myth sort of speaks to the sum of the parts, not just being greater than the whole, but greater than the original wholes. I mean, is pretty profound. Am I jumping too many leagues ahead when I'm starting to consider Chiron in this light? Is it? I mean,
No, I don't think so, because it's interesting. Its orbit is between Saturn and Uranus, so it's a kind of bridge between the regular conventional 3D world and a higher world of higher consciousness. And I think Chiron leads us to that higher consciousness. And an aspect of Chiron's mythology that isn't often discussed, it's the maverick. it's the outsider. You know, it's got quite an elliptical orbit, so it feels like the outsider. It's interesting that often when people have Chiron transits, they're excommunicated, you know, they're fired from work and it feels very unjust, or they're excommunicated from a group of friends, that kind of thing. So there's a
A
feeling.
lot of our audience actually go through Chiron's return, right? Like, I mean, like I can see, like I've connected with a lot of the audience that are going through Chiron's return and stuff as well. Is this similar to the transit you're describing?
Absolutely. But there's the potential also for great healing, for discovering who you really are at the core levels, to heal your original wound, because wherever Chiron is in your birth chart, there is an original wound of some kind. All of us have it somewhere. So, for instance, if it's in Aries, you tend to be wounded in the I am. It's hard to get in touch with your center, your sense of individuality. You know, there's almost a feeling in your very early years, for whatever reason, if I don't have a right to exist, you're wounded in the I am. If it's in Taurus, it tends to be your earlier safety and security needs weren't fully met. You know, you're wounded by the sign that it's presently in your birth chart. But when you have the return, there's the potential for the healing of that original wound that's very strong. Now, it's interesting that Chiron is coming back to its own original discovery place, which was at 3 of Taurus. It was at 3 of Taurus back in I think it was the late 90s when it was discovered. And it's going to come back to that in late 26, 27. It's really going into 2027. So that will be very interesting to see how that works in the world, because I think there's going to be a lot of healing for the earth. It's in Taurus, fixed earth, but also Taurus is our own physical bodies. So I think that could be a period of immense healing for the earth and for whatever ails us, you know, where we have diseases or things we haven't been able to fix up till that point. You know, it's interesting, when I had a very important Chiron return myself, I'd been ill for 39 years in total, having picked up a very rare amoeba in the Himalayas when I was trekking when I was 26. And I ended up having 2 fecal transplants that saved my life in 2018. And that was absolutely a very important Chiron transit at that time. So that was a massive healing for me. I don't think I'd still be here now if I hadn't got those. So another.
Did she say fetal transplants, ma'am?
Miracle that I'm very grateful for. So Chiron is fascinating. Wherever it is in your chart, it is meant to take you to a higher form of leadership within that. So particularly if you have it in Aries, you know, you're going to end up as a leader of some kind. I believe Martin Luther King and Gandhi both had, I believe. And of course, they turned out to be extraordinarily unique, maverick leaders. But you take the wound, you can see Gandhi in the Great British Empire and how he felt very wounded by those.
She was born in, she's 71. She was born in March 1953. Maths isn't my strong point, but there's the information you need.
Circumstances, how he could step into leadership, how Martin Luther King in America in those times, you know, in the 60s, you can see how he felt like the outsider, but took it into leadership.
Oh, I think she said
so
fetal.
It's
fetal, as in fetus, which is irksome. Are we talking adrenochrome? Like, ma'am, what are we doing here?
It's taking your maverick, your outsider, your I don't fit in this for whatever reason, into
it's
leadership.
Better? I'd rather get a
your
shit
original
transfer.
That's how I'd explain that.
Yeah, it's also not lost on me. Maybe I'm too deep in the weeds with you here, but also that it's happening in like it was, of course, Chiron was discovered in Taurus. It's like, you know, it was like value much. It's like, okay, like you know, paying.
Pause. So we're gonna watch a video that Vixie sent me. It's quite long. That's what she said. We'll have to do it over a few episodes, and I have a feeling we'll have to watch it solely on. She said fecal. She had poo poo. Well, that's I'm better. I'm happy. I'm happier with fecal than fetal, because I don't want to think that she's a transhumanist drinking fucking. Anyway, good. Carry on. Anyway, we've got so much to watch. I can't believe I'm gonna go back to work soon. It's stupid. No, fecal. God damn. Fecal. Poo. She had poo transplanted. How does this work? Why? She's full of shit. Okay, good. Carry on. Oh. I
Is
snorted.
potential, is purpose sort of conversation, you know, like
Let me
Taurus
go back.
rules. It was,
I don't
of
know.
course,
That's how I'd explain that.
Poo. Yeah, poo. Okay, poo.
yeah,
Got it.
it's also not lost on me. Maybe I'm too deep in the weeds with you here, but also that it's happening in like it was, of course, Chiron was discovered in Taurus. It's like, you know, it was like value much. It's like, okay, like you know, pain is potential, is purpose, sort of conversation, you know, like Taurus rules value. And yeah, I mean, how much of, I'm reflecting even on the gene keys when you go through your sequences, like your core wound that gene keys help you identify is what you then touch wood go and build your vocation on. Yeah, it's very much what everybody that I
Interesting.
support
That's
in
really
the isn't it? And so that's actually that when I introduce people into, I've got this masterminding mentoring thing that we do at the Spider Vision called the Spiritual Entrepreneurship Council. We call it affectionately the Council because everyone's like weighing in on each other's, I guess, hearts offerings in the world. But you can, like, one of the vetting things is like, what's the challenge that you went
Muted. So we're gonna learn. We're gonna learn. Let me put the jingle on first because definitely learning. BRB. I mean, not BRB, but yes.
It's learning time with Cam Shorty. Finding out something new every day.
Okay, so it's not babies. It's not babies. Treatment for C. diff. What's C. diff? Kills all bacteria in your intestines. They do fecal transplants to reintroduce the right bacteria. I mean, she doesn't eat. Anyway, good. I'm glad there's a cure. I'm glad that there is a use for poo. I don't know if I feel better or worse. I don't know if I feel better or worse. I guess we feel better. C. diff is a horrible thing. Please tell me. Somebody tell me. More learning.
through that made you want to birth this? You know, and it's like, oh yeah, that's it there. And it's like, all right, cool, you're one of us, in you come. You know, let's go. So it's but yeah, it's interesting having that, yeah, being discovered in Taurus, which helps us define value in many ways, actually. We're moving through the year. Relationship seems to be a bit of a thing. You've mentioned this in several different types of placements. The importance of relationships in this year, is this something that's naturally going to come more and more online for people, relationships, or is it something that people need to work harder on, is relationships? Can you please bring us into your awareness of 2026 and relationships, please, Pam?
Yeah, I think firstly, a lot of relationships are falling away right now because it's no longer a frequency match, because you don't necessarily journey with people for an entire lifetime, you journey with them for a season. And because some people are on a faster track in terms of their growth in consciousness, and that's no judgment, it's just, that's the way it is, that's their soul contract. A lot of relationships are falling away, whether they're romantic, whether they're friendships, whether they're business relationships. There's a very strong sense, and I know this is happening to many, many people. You're stepping away or have been stepped away in relationships. But next year, I think there's going to be, you're going to find what I call your family of frequency more easily, whether that's online or even better in person. You're going to find your soul tribe that you vibe with, because everything is going to be next year much more fully
Already
about
found
frequency
them.
and energy.
Shorties.
And so you'll just want to be with people who are on the same vibe as you. And you'll just feel it, because we're going to be moving also from the head to the heart. So you're going to be feeling it rather than thinking it. And also with the malleability of society, you're not going to be, I work in a bank 9 to 5. This is what I do with my life. There's going to be much greater fluidity in whatever work we're doing as well. So I think people coming together in networks, grassroots networks, to share information, to grow food, to live together, that kind of relationship communally, because that's the Aquarius energy as well. Mycelium, tree roots, that's very Aquarian. Or for a purpose. We're coming together because we have some visionaries or progressives that have some great ideas about the environment, how to clear up the earth or clean up the seas. We're coming together as a group for that purpose. There's going to be that kind of purpose conscious driven kind of getting together. But I also think it could be a very good year for romantic love, actually. Especially when Jupiter moves into Leo from July onwards. That's a real, opening up of the heart. So I think if you're single and looking for that kind of relationship, that could be, I think it could be really, and real kind of a sense of destiny, of two people coming together in a very deep bond that is not only heart-based, but I think really soul-based, really deeply soul-based, and somebody who you may have been with in past lives, perhaps, but a real sense of two souls meeting and coming together for the long term that feels really exquisite. It feels exquisite at a high level.
Just to tie up the whole poo conversation neatly with a bow, brown bow. They fight C. diff. What does it stand for? With different bacteria. Sometimes a patient's own poo prior to antibiotics. So they save the poo? They save the poo. Then you have the antibiotics and then they put the poo back in? How do they... How do they put it up the bum? Like, serious question. Do they put the poo back up your bum? Do you have to eat the poo? That seems not ideal. How do they administer the poo? C. difficile. All of the questions. Honestly, I have more questions. We have more questions now than we had before, Simi, and it's all about poo. Hi, I love you all so much. Chat is bae.
And I think there's going to be a lot of that.
A lot of poo. A lot of
As you're
shit.
describing romantic love, I can't help but reflect on how just when you start talking about romantic love, people begin to smile. Like it's just got that, love has that frequency. You can feel it, right? When you're talking about that love, it like goes really deep.
Pause. That's what she said. Goes really deep. Hope says, Miss Shorty, I'm up hours after your stream. So many questions. I'm sorry, but I'm glad. You're welcome for the questions. I'm sorry for the sleeplessness. A person does not eat poo. Amen. And that's what I say to the dogs often. I'm like, what are we doing here? Actually, there's no poo. I've been very good with picking up the poos, like religious with picking up the poos in the back area because. Do you know what's disgusting? Like walk and talk chat sidebar. We had this conversation before, but it bears repeating. It is disgusting to these two who are very affectionate with their licking, right? And to be kissed and cuddled or whatever, licked, very affectionate, and to smell a mild smell of poo on their breath, and we're like, what the fuck, man? Why? And then to come out, get up out of bed. And come into this area where their beds are, and there'd be a little bit of poo on the floor. Like, what are we doing? We don't eat poo. Dogs eat their own poo. Trust me. No, not Clay. I'm a vomit. Yeah, man. Try being me. Fuck. I'm like, guys, we don't eat poo. Nobody eats poo. Nobody eats poo.
And people just can't help but smile. It's just got that like it's got a real yeah, it's hard to miss in that. As we have been reflecting on 2026 with you here today, do things start to stabilize when we come to 2027? Is 2026 a year of transition and then 2027 lands? Or is this like, does 2027 also like continue to ratchet up? Like, are we in the middle of like, how big of a process are we currently kind of in your mind? 2027, do things start to settle out, we land in this new terrain, or what are your thoughts there?
Yeah, it's a great question, Amrit. Thank you. Yeah, I definitely see 2026 as a year of transition. It's a 1 year in numerology, so it's a year of new beginnings. It's the year in Chinese astrology, which starts on the 17th of February, of the fire horse. Think of just those words, the fire horse. So it's dynamic, it's bold, it's fast, it wants freedom, it wants innovation. Don't
got
opt
8
in.
planets in Aries and
Wild and expressive and dynamic and all of those things. So yes, there's been a lot of change, a lot of dynamism, a lot of change, a lot of forward motion, big leaps, etc. When we get into 2027, all of the outer planets have kind of settled into their new signs by then. Also, this unique configuration that we've never had before, the Pluto, Uranus, Saturn, Neptune, that's starting to gradually break up. The real time of exactitude is July, but it's going to color the whole of 2026. by 2027, it's gradually starting to break up and move on. So yes, I'd see it more of a landing year. I think Richard Rudd and his gene keys, which I don't know at all, but I know you practice it, and I know Richard personally. He's talked about the year of 2027 being the real birth of the dragonfly. From the caterpillar to the dragonfly. He's seen that more in 2027 than in 2026. So it's like, when I did a video, I filmed a video called The Big Picture, and I was talking about 2025 to 2027 being this concentrated, accelerated period of evolution, which doesn't mean our evolution stops then. I mean, it'll go on to infinity, but it's just a very accelerated, concentrated period. So end of 2027 is kind of the end of the beginning, if I can say that. The end of the beginning, the end of this very big period of push and acceleration. Then there's a greater feeling of settling. Not to say that life is going to go back to be as slow as it has been in our past. We look back to our past up to now as real slow coach stuff. We're never going back to that kind of slowness ever again.
We're
But
transitioning.
we'll be more accustomed to the pace and the speed, and have ways to ground and stabilize ourselves 2027 onwards, I feel. Yeah.
Inspired soul living beings, what are you taking away from today's podcast? This is incredibly rich when it comes to myth, astrological insight, and what's actually coming up for the year ahead. What are your big takeaways from today's episode? Pam, from past episodes, we know it reads the comments and chimes back in with you as well. So leave your comments and questions in the comment section below. And if you've got any questions for the next time she's on, she's likely to be back on in the future again. Leave those in the comment section below as well. It'd be my honor to ask them on your behalf. Back to Pam in today's podcast. Yeah, we start to surf different sized wave, I guess.
That was cool.
I wanted to ask, there might not be 3, maybe you prefer to give us 2, or maybe less, or maybe more. But for those tuning into this podcast, I was hoping maybe we could walk away with maybe 3 commitments was what came to mind for me, that we could sort of anchor ourselves into, that would help us navigate this year of transition quite deeply. If you would make those 3 commitments for yourself, what do you think would be the most useful 3 commitments, whilst being self-oriented, also being universal, if I can, just for the benefit of the listener at this time?
Yeah. Always choose love. Have a rolling mantra of how good can it get? Because that instantly shifts the frequency and brings in more possibility. And the third one is the one I use in the meditations, which is we're welcoming in an ever-expanding consciousness of love.
I love that line every time you bring us back to it. Yeah,
I love it too.
Yeah. Talking is about bringing us back every single time and loving things. Pam Gregory, how does one begin to thank you? I mean, obviously, thank you so much for your energy, being here with us today. You've had an incredible 2026 yourself, up, down, and all around. Thank you for gracing us multiple times throughout the year, regardless of how you've been going. And that's not lost on me here, just how much this podcast means to you. And I'm completely honored by that. And I'm just so, so, so grateful that you're well, you're thriving. I mean, I can feel the urgency. It's like stuff needs to happen. Like, we need to wake up now. And it's like, yep, got it right there.
Yes.
With you, sister. But yeah, man, just so, so, so grateful for you, and so glad you're well and doing your thing. We are so blessed to receive your blessings. Thank you for doing this here with us today again.
It's been wonderful to spend time with you, Amrit. I've really enjoyed it. We always seem to go over the jumps. But I think, just to add a final thought as well.
Please,
I know
please.
I'm coming across with a sense of urgency.
Yeah.
But don't force flow.
Yeah.
Don't force flow. Surrender
Yeah.
to these amazing new cosmic energies that are coming in. Forget the business plan and the business goals and the way we've lived. Flow with the energy.
Well, that was that 3i Atlas expansion that you were talking about, that has really been doing a lot for us as well. Like, it's this expanded spaciousness, but also flow in that. Like, it's touch wood, incredible to feel into.
Welcome it in. These are amazing times of opportunity to really shift the kind of reality we live in, and to make it a really beautiful, loving one. So God bless you, Amrit, for all the amazing work you do and all the amazing people you interview to make this world a better place. You have a very big piece of the puzzle in this evolution too.
You inspired soul living being, you've made it to the end of another really incredible episode. You've made it through all the way to the end. So please, you do like this video? So please.
Yes, I already liked it. I will again drop. No, I'll just drop his. Wait, I'll just go down. What am I doing? God damn it!
Do give it a like
Click
and a
shit.
thumbs up.
Oh, go down. Sorry, first day. No, that's not how you do it. I know why. I know how. Poor walk and talk chat. Let me go to. Oh, I remember last time it wouldn't let me do it. Shelley, could you please drop his channel link in again, if you're still around? And Pam is Pam Gregory official. So if you want to follow both of them, that was amazing. I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. We are fucking professionals, Simi. Proof. StreamYard agrees again. Finally. So rude. Hey, thanks everybody. I hope that was, I know I feel amazing. I hope that you enjoyed every minute of that. We've got this. We've got this. Night, Pammy. Thank you. Sleep well. Hope we'll be up for hours. She has rabbit holes to dig and explore. Thank you so much, Shelley. That's his channel. Amazing stream. Awesome stream. Thank you, Vixie. And thank you for sending me those links. I've been watching and I'm watching horrified. So it's fine. Hey, so I don't think, unless if I don't go back to work on Tuesday, so tomorrow's Monday, I think, here in Australia, at this point, I don't have a shift, but I'm not going to stream. If for some reason I'm not rostered for my Tuesday, might do a Monday night stream, maybe not. I'm going to pack up my Christmas tree this year. It's on the list. Last year I didn't, as we know. So good night, Life Artist. Good night, Pammy. I love you all very much. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Mods, Shelley and Simi. Mwah! Be kind to each other. Be kind to yourselves. Share this about. Share your knowledge. Share your truths. Step into your truth, because we have the year of the fire horse behind us to fuel this awakening, so we can do it together. Mwah! I love you all very much.
I love you all so very much. We had a blast just chatting and stuff. Things may have gone bit off the rails, professional when all else fails. 'Cause chat is great, so much to say. Emotes and all the caps out. May have been cheese, bit faster please. The time has come, Camp Shorty out. We're skating through all the tough things, learning about this and that, defense motions, prosecution, and narcissistic twats. 'Cause chat is babe, so much to say. Emotes and all the all caps out. May have been cheese, bit faster please. The time has come, Camp Shorty out. Community, just you and me. Occasionally, Buster and Poppy. It's the whole thing, Miss Shorty swing. Together we make each other happy. 'Cause chat is babe, so much to say.